My dad made me choose one of the 10 goddesses to marry. This video is purely for entertainment and does not violate copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and the image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 351. Worked on overseas battlefields. If Fang Lexi hadn't been standing here, Fen Lin would have kicked him up. Fang the 11th, don't you think it's embarrassing for you to come from a family of girls? Fang Lexi pointed at Fang the 11th and scolded her. That's my job. Fang the 11th stood up and said, it's a barbecue restaurant that my younger brother and I jointly opened. You can't go. Listen to Fen Lin. Fang Lexi now believes in Fen Lin very much. As Yu Yongzu's son, in addition to such good conduct, she already considered Fen Lin as Fang Shi's future husband. A girl who acts like a gangster all day, how could Fen Lin fall in love with her? If you don't go, I won't go. I won't return the money I owe you. Fang the 11th looked at Fen Lin sadly. It's only a few thousand yuan, I don't expect you to pay it back. Fen Lin said lightly. Fang the 11th got up, put the phone in his pocket, suddenly accelerated and ran out the door. But how could he escape in front of Fen Lin? Fen Lin moved forward and easily grabbed her shoulders. Fen Lin, my current source of income is that barbecue restaurant. Fang the 11th looked at Fen Lin. Fen Lin said helplessly, I'll go with you. Okay. Fang the 11th nodded vigorously. Andy, stay here. I'll go take a look with her and be back soon. Fen Lin smiled at Fang Lexi. Logically speaking, she can be considered Xi Kuo's ex-wife. If Xi Xing really wanted to act, he wouldn't approach her. Okay, be careful. Fang Lexi nodded. Fen Lin and Fang the 11th left together, stopped a taxi on the side of the road, and ran to Fang Shi's barbecue restaurant. I helped you do what happened last time. When are you going to dye your hair back? Fen Lin grabbed Fang Shi's gray hair and gently pulled it a few times. Hurts. Fang the 11th frowned and pushed Fen Lin's hand away. What do you know? This cost me several hundred. I promise you won't dye it in the future and let it turn black on its own, right? No. How do you behave like this? Dyeing hair yellow and brown is better than your color. Fen Lin scolded. Ouch. Why are you more annoying than my mother? Fang the 11th raised her pink fist and continued hitting her arm. In just a few minutes they arrived at their destination. Fang the 11th got out of the car and ran out first. Fen Lin gave the money, left from the car and followed Fang the 11th. On the street in the distance, there is a shop called Sunset BBQ. Fen Lin looked around and found that the road here was quite good. If it is night, the flow of passengers should. However, there are several barbecue restaurants here and the competition is definitely fierce. At this time, there were many people inside, all holding steel pipes and looking menacing. Sister the 11th, you are finally here. A thin young man with glasses covered his face and stepped forward to cry. These people are deliberately looking for trouble. Are you looking for trouble? What a farth. A fat bald man sitting on a chair knocked on the table. I have a fly on your plate, why the hell are you only half price? Didn't I say that later? I paid for this meal, can I give you a free meal? The young man with glasses shouted. Free. Damn, now that I think about flies, I feel like vomiting and I can't eat for a whole day. Do you think it's enough to get it for free? Is my mouth like a trash can? The fat and bald man raised 2 fingers and said, 2,000 yuan, otherwise I will destroy your store. As soon as the bald fat man finished speaking, several boys around him took steel bars and slammed the beer next to him hard. The drink shattered on the floor. You're paralyzed. Fang the 11th took the wine bottle and swung it directly. Click. The bottle shattered, causing a man's head to bleed. Fang the 11th immediately snatched the steel pipe from his hand and rushed towards the fat, bald man. Boom. 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 Fang the 11th dodged and spun, killing 3 more people. Fen Lin, who was standing outside the door, was a little surprised. Although his strength was not very good, Fang Shi's dodging skills were quite good. What are you doing still? Come on. Come on. The fat and bald man was also stunned. He didn't expect a woman to be so fierce. A group of people rushed over and Fang the 11th was unable to fight with his 4 fists. If this continues, they will probably split his head open. Fen Lin stepped forward quickly, looking like a ghost, passing by everyone. Enough. Fen Lin sat next to the fat bald man and the dagger in his hand fell on his neck. When everyone around saw this, they all stopped. Keep hitting me. I still don't believe it. A young man dares to attack me. The bald fat man was full of disdain. Brush. Fen Lin turned the dagger and easily penetrated the bald fat man's palm, pinning his hand to the table. Oh. The fat, bald man let out a miserable howl. Feng Lin suddenly stood up and grabbed the bald boy's shoulders. Click. Click, and his hands were like pliers. As long as he grabbed her shoulders, a chilling sound would be heard. Then, there was a group of screams. Ah! My arm. It hurt so much. In the blink of an eye, the 7 or 8 younger brothers brought by the fat bald man were all lying on the ground, covering their shoulders and crying. Feng Lin sat down again in front of the bald man, grabbed the dagger stuck on the table and shook it lightly. Ah! No! The fat bald man screamed in pain. Fang the 11th next to her was stunned and her face showed admiration. He is worthy of being the head of that kind of clandestine organization. This fighting stance is so beautiful. Fang the 11th had always dreamed of having such fighting power. Tell me, who asked you to come? Feng Lin asked casually. It's across the street. My older brother just bought a barbecue restaurant. He was afraid that other stores around him would steal his business, so he asked us to do this, the fat and bald man hurriedly explained. That's true, Feng Lin had only guessed it before, pointed to a younger brother and said, call me your boss. Go quickly. The fat and bald man hurriedly shouted. Yeah. The two people here covered their shoulders and ran towards the opposite door. After a while, a middle-aged man with half-white hair arrived here. He has a Chinese character face, very fierce eyes, and an extremely strong body. Fang the 11th paled when she saw the person in front of her. He approached Feng Lin little by little and whispered, Feng Lin, it's a hyena. Do you know him? Feng Lin asked lightly. I know, Coyote, he is very famous in the local area and he is ruthless. Fang Shi's face looked a little ugly. This man was a big shot. Compared to her, who only had 5 or 6 younger siblings, there was a world of difference. Now that you know me, do you know the consequences of offending me? Do you want to die if you touch me? The coyote entered with sinister eyes. Feng Lin took out the dagger and the bald man withdrew his hand like lightning, retreated towards the hyena and begged, Brother Wolf. Avenge me. Just a young man, to beat you like this, what's the point of raising you? Coyote took out the dagger from his body and said with a gloomy expression. Boy, come on, let's play. Brother Wolf is domineering. The fat bald man covered his hands, excited. I finally get to see Brother Coyote fight. Fang the 11th lifted the bench next to him, his voice trembling. Be careful, there are rumors that this person has worked in overseas battlefields, been a mercenary, and killed people. Chapter 352. Sister, I dare not. The corners of Coyote's mouth raised slightly. He flicked his wrist and walked forward, not paying attention to Feng Lin at all. Fang the 11th saw the other person's confident expression and immediately whispered in Feng Lin's ear, let's run away. We really can't beat this guy. He also knew that Feng Lin had a gun, but this was not a small alley. In front of so many people, using that kind of weapon would simply cost you your own life. Run. Do you think you can escape? The coyote suddenly pounced. Fang the 11th immediately threw the chair in his hand and grabbed Feng Lin to escape. But the coyote was very agile and dodged sideways, stabbing Feng Lin in the shoulder with the dagger in his hand. The kids around Coyote were excited when they saw this. He is worthy of being your boss. Doorbell. They haven't had time to flatter him yet. I was stunned by the image before me. Feng Lin held the opponent's sword between his 2 fingers, and with a slight twist, Feng Lin broke the sword. Boom. Feng Lin whipped his leg and kicked the opponent in the head. His body flew diagonally, hit the nearby table, and then rolled off the table. Feng Lin gently shook the sword in his hand. Oh! The sword went through Coyote's arm and stuck in the wall behind him. Immediately afterwards, blood gushed out from the wound. The coyote gasped and quickly covered his arms with a surprised expression on his face. Everyone around was scared when they saw this. Is this person Superman? When Fang the 11th looked at Feng Lin now, she felt that this man was shining and she couldn't look at him directly. Very handsome. This coyote that once seemed superior to him. He was knocked down by Feng Lin with a single blow. You're a good person. You didn't scream like them. For you disrespected me. Feng Lin turned his dagger and walked towards the hyena. No. Brother, I am convinced. Let me go. Coyote begged immediately, I will transfer you 20,000 yuan now. I will cover all losses here. Please accept the rest. Attitude. Yes, doing business. Well, it's the right way, don't do such dirty tricks. Feng Lin looked at Fang the 11th, what are you doing standing there? Collect money. Oh, okay. Fang the 11th finally realized that she too somehow, I suddenly realized that Feng Lin was so handsome. Every movement is so beautiful. As soon as Fang the 11th picked up the money, Feng Lin looked towards the door of the shop. A little woolly in a black skirt walked over with a smile, Feng Lin. I finally found you. Kiao, the magic city is so big, can you find me? Fen Lin couldn't help but said in surprise. At this moment, the coyote's body suddenly moved. He approached Kiao, grabbed her neck with one hand and said coldly, "Don't move." As expected of Brother Lang. The fat, bald man standing outside the door couldn't help but laugh. He took out the dagger from his body, squatted next to Kiao, and put the dagger on her neck. "Grandpa, I can't deal with you and I can't deal with a brat." Coyote sneered at Fen Lin, "Kneel before me, otherwise I'll scratch his face." Secretly cursing, I didn't expect this coyote to be so cruel and ruthless. Even such a small child is not saved. Just now the girl called Fen Lin, and Fen Lin also called her. Such a cute girl is really disfigured by them, she may be ruined for the rest of her life. Fang the 11th gritted her teeth and could only kneel on the ground. Seeing Fang the 11th kneel, her younger brother in the distance also knelt. He knelt down. Only Fen Lin was still where he was. "Boy, don't you understand what I'm telling you?" Coyote sneered a few times, "Such a cute little face will be disfigured because of you." "Brother Wolf, some men nowadays would rather die than kneel, otherwise let's do this." The fat and bald man had an idea. "Boy, use the dagger to pierce your hand, or I will pierce your hand." Coyote nodded secretly, "This method is good, let Feng Lin destroy himself first. After that, he took personal revenge. Wait for me a moment." Fen Lin suddenly smiled at the two of them, then turned around, filled a plate with peanuts, and opened another bottle of beer. Then he sat cross-legged on a chair, eating peanuts in one hand and holding a beer bottle in the other, and said to a few people, "You can start." Fen Lin. "Are you crazy?" Fang the 11th saw. In this scene, it suddenly felt as if Fen Lin no longer shined. I didn't want to save such a pretty girl. Coyote was also a little confused, this script was wrong. HNPH. "Fen Lin, why don't you save me?" Kiao puffed her mouth, feeling a little excited. Although the two people in front of her were scum in front of her. But every woman has imagined in her heart that she is in danger and Prince Charming is coming to rescue her. They're stupid. Are you stupid too? Fen Lin couldn't help but roll his eyes while eating peanuts. In the realm of the worthy master, facing two minions, do you still need the help of others? I don't care. You must save me or I'll ignore you. Kiao stamped her feet angrily. I won't save you. Don't you have hands? Fen Lin said coldly, the little girl must not be spoiled. Otherwise, she would grow up to be a coquettish and stubborn woman. It's your grandmother. Do you think I don't exist? You are the hostages now, do you understand? Coyote couldn't help but curse, it was the first time he had encountered such a situation. He didn't care, he was ready to strangle Kiao's neck. Do not touch me. Kiao slapped the hyena on the face with her white and tender hands. Oh! The coyote's body went flying and its head hit the wall with a crash. Blood stained the walls red. When everyone around saw this, their souls were frightened. What the hell is going on? A brat who knocks someone out with a slap. As for the fat, bald man who was still holding the dagger and placing it in front of Kiao's neck, his expression was a little uncomfortable. He took back the dagger and said with a smile, "Ha ha ha ha, the weather is good today. Who told you to take the knife from me? Keep putting it on my neck." Kiao shouted coldly. "I. Sister, I don't dare." The bald man fell to his knees with a thought of fear, he must have gone crazy. Looking at the coyote lying next to the wall, its body was still twitching, as if in a vegetative state. "Don't you understand what I said?" Kiao's expression gradually darkened. Yes, the bald man cautiously took the dagger and put it in front of Kiao's neck, his hands trembling. Kiao puffed her mouth and looked at Fen Lin with red eyes, "Help me." Fen Lin was speechless. He usually seemed quite mature, but he was still a child. He reluctantly put the bear on the table, walked forward and kicked the bald man. "Get out of here, everyone. How dare you bully my little guy? Get out, let's get out right now." The bald man felt relieved and wished he could do it right away. He signaled to everyone present to leave, not forgetting to take the coyote. After everyone left, Fen Lin took Kiao with both hands and let her sit on his lap. "You are indeed a little boy, are you crying?" Fen Lin smiled and wiped the corners of Kiao's eyes with his fingers. Who was crying? Kiao turned her head coldly, not looking at Fen Lin. Chapter 353 Attack is Defense. Next to her, Fang the 11th stood up from the ground, patted the dust on her knees, walked over and asked, "Fen Lin, who was this? She looks so cute." "My daughter." Fen Lin pinched Kiao. "What a clever face. Who was your daughter?" Kaikiokiao kept hitting Fen Lin, but because her arms were too short, she couldn't reach her. Okay, don't joke anymore, this is my friend's daughter. Fen Lin hugged Kaikiokiao and walked to the nearby table. Serve me barbecue. Today I want to reward my little cutie. Okay. Glasses. Hurry up and get to work, leave the cleaning to me, Fang the 11th ordered and started to get to work. Fen Lin let Kaikiokiao sit on one of his legs and fed her peanuts from time to time. Did you come here alone or did Kai Lin also come? Fen Lin asked in a low voice. I'm not going to tell you. Kaikiokiao was still angry and chewed the peanuts hard. Okay, I promise you, if I encounter this situation in the future, I will definitely save you. Fen Lin rubbed Kaikiokiao's head, feeling like he was persuading his daughter. Master, the third elder and I came here together, Kaikiokiao said lightly. Third elder? What are you doing here? Fen Lin asked strangely, did Kai Lin have other reasons for coming here? I don't know. The teacher didn't tell me many things. She just asked me to find you and follow you. Kaikiokiao grabbed some peanuts and stuffed them into her mouth. Fen Lin lowered his head, thinking in his heart. After the second master reminded him, he had always distrusted the Kai Lin woman. After a while, Fang the 11th tidied up the store. She held the plate and first gave Fen Lin a plate of lime skewers. Eat it, it's free. Don't you blush when you say this. I just made you 20,000 yuan. Fen Lin took it first. He picked out a bunch and put it in Kaikiokiao's mouth. Try it. Kaikiokiao opened her mouth and took a bite, her eyes widened suddenly, it's delicious. Then eat more. Fen Lin was eating and thinking. From Xikuo, I learned that Kai Lin was also a disciple of the King of Hell. This time the King of Hell is coming and so is Kai Lin, so is she on his side or on her master's side? Suddenly, Fen Lin's eyes narrowed and he discovered a loophole. Kai Lin kept saying that she also wanted to find Hu Yongzhu. But she is the disciple of the King of Hell, so she will definitely ask the King of Hell. If the King of Hell knows it, she will naturally know it too. If the King of Hell didn't know, why was this interrupted clue deliberately given? Thinking of this, Fen Lin gradually raised the corner of his mouth. Kiao, you said before that the elders of the Presbyterian Church do not disagree with Kai Lin. Does that include the third elder? No, the third elder is the master's teacher and one of ours. And it's very strong. Kiao was eating lamb skewers when she suddenly started. She raised her head and said, don't tell the teacher I said so. It's a secret. Don't worry. Fen Lin smiled and rubbed Kai's clever head. Pretty sure. It seemed like Kai Lin was using him. His purpose was to meet Waiheizhu. For the purpose, Fen Lin is still unclear. But one thing is for sure. Kai Lin has always been using him and has never considered him as one of her own. If he treated her as one of his own, she would definitely tell him all the news about her mother. Knowing means knowing, not knowing means not knowing. She revealed this just because she wanted to do something for her. It's really amazing, Fen Lin laughed lightly. If the second master hadn't reminded him, he would have been more careful. Maybe now I am still in the dark. Fang the 11th brought another plate of grilled fish and placed it in front of Fen Lin. That's enough, let's eat whatever we want. Fen Lin looked at Fang the 11th. Fang Shi's cheeks were slightly red, and now Fen Lin started to shine again. Okay, after eating, Fen Lin wiped Kaikiokiao's mouth with the toilet paper on the side. He stood up and said, Fang the 11th, if nothing happens, you can go home. Aren't you coming back? Fang the 11th asked strangely. If you don't come back, I have something else to do. Offense is defense, Fen Lin decided to go to Xi's house and asked Xikuo to call his son. Waiting for Waiheizhu at home. Just in time to see what Kai Lin is going to play. Taking Kaikiokiao's hand, Fen Lin left here. The two stood at the intersection, ready to wait for a taxi, but found a Bentley approaching in the distance. The window opened, revealing Alice's typical Western beauty face. Lin, where are you going? I'll take you. Alice opened the car door. Fen Lin looked at Kaikiokiao and took her to the back row, with Kaikiokiao sitting on her lap. Who is it? How cute. Alice smiled and looked at Kaikiokiao. The daughter of my friend. Fen Lin paused and said with a smile. Send me to Xi's house. Okay. Let's go to Xi's house. Alice looked at the driver in front of her. Bentley turned a corner and ran towards Xi's house. Lin, why are you going to Xi's house? Alice asked with a smile. Fen Lin explained. It's not because of you that I offended others. I want to atone for my sins. Haha, you really know how to joke. Alice covered her mouth and left. In front of the door of Xi's house. Fen Lin and Kaikiokiao got off the car together. Alice greeted Fen Lin and left here. Miss Alice, that girl just now is a coup cultivator, the driver turned around and said. Really? It seems like you've guessed it right. Fen Lin is indeed a coup cultivator. If not, it would be terrible, such a young person has reached the penetration realm. Alice raised the corner of her mouth and looked back. Xi family villa, I always feel like there's a show to see. Fen Lin arrived at the door of Xi's house, and all the security guards stopped Fen Lin. My husband told me not to see guests these days. A middle-aged man stood in front of Fen Lin. Fen Lin held Kakioki in his arms and walked in without any expression. I asked you to stop, don't you understand? The middle-aged man reached out to grab Fen Lin. Boom. It was as if a huge rock was suddenly pressing on his upper body. He hit his body against the ground. The rest of the people around looked at me and I looked at you and didn't dare to take a step forward. They are all ancient warriors and know what this means. Fen Lin hugged Kakioki and walked towards the door. He kicked the door, and the steel door broke and flew out, hitting the fountain in the distance. Fen Lin calmly entered the villa. Not far away, Xikuo's figure appeared here, and he asked coldly, My master hasn't arrived yet, what do you mean? Call your son. Fen Lin looked at Xikuo calmly. Go to the villa. Xikuo's expression suddenly changed. Did his son provoke him? He also knew Fen Lin's strength. If the master didn't come, he wouldn't be a match at all, so he immediately called Xixing. Fen Lin hugged Kakioki and walked to the sofa in the living room. Xikuo followed him into the living room and stood next to him, looking at Fen Lin suspiciously. Not long after, Xixing came to the living room with a smile on his face. Dad, what are you calling me for? As soon as he finished speaking, he noticed Fen Lin on the sofa and his expression suddenly changed. How can it be? Wasn't Fen Lin poisoned to death? Chapter 354 King of Hawaii is who? That's not the point. The point is that at home, Fen Lin is sitting on a sofa and his father is standing. Kneel down. Fen Lin looked at Xixing calmly. Do I kneel? Ha ha ha. What the hell are you talking about? Xixing thought he had heard wrong, so he went home and asked himself to kneel. This is really crazy. Let him kneel. Fen Lin smiled and pinched Kakioki's cheek. Don't pinch my face. Kakioki pouted slightly, then waved her hand vigorously, and a red butterfly flew out of her sleeve. The red butterfly flew in a curved arc. His wings are like swords. Whistle. Flying over Xixing's legs. Faga. Blood splattered from Xixing's legs. Because the speed was too fast, Xixing did not notice it at first and a full 2 seconds passed before he felt the pain in his legs. Xixing shouted and knelt on the ground uncontrollably. Kakioki raised her finger and a bloody butterfly landed on her finger, flapping its wings gently. Not bad. Fen Lin pinched Kakioki's cheek again. Compared to the ease here, Xixing covered his legs and growled, Dad. Why aren't you doing anything yet? Because he doesn't dare. Fen Lin stood up, approached Xixing and looked down. And she slapped him and said, How dare you poison me? Xixing's expression changed. It turned out that he had known this for a long time. Who do you think you are? They call you the fourth young master of Demon City, you stupid. Fen Lin kicked Xixing in the face. If it weren't for your father's teacher, you would be dead. Xikuo looked gloomy and stood still. Fen Lin looked at Xikuo expressionlessly. When will your teacher arrive? I'm a little anxious. My master will arrive tonight, Xikuo replied coldly. Okay, then I'll wait for you here. Fen Lin returned to the sofa. Xikuo grabbed Xixing's arm, lifted him up, and turned to leave. Fen Lin was lying on the sofa. What he knew now is that when he fought with Wai Hei's Hu, Kai Lin would definitely take action. This was also the reason why she let Kakioki follow her. You can find yourself immediately. Kyoki, I will meet at Big Shot soon and there may be a fight. What should you do? Fen Lin suddenly asked tentatively. See if you can beat me. If you can't beat me, I will notify the owner and ask her to rescue you, Kakioki said from the side. Fen Lin nodded secretly, as expected. To become knight. Shanghai Airport. An old man with white hair and a tall build appeared here. He was wearing black pants and white short sleeves, and you could see the beefy muscles on his arms. His eyes were calm and intimidating, and most people didn't even dare to look at him. As soon as he appeared, Xikuo immediately walked over and bowed his head respectfully. Master. This man was the third in the heavenly ranking, the king of Hawaii is who? Where is that person? Wai is who asked angrily without wasting any time. He is in my house, master. I cannot defeat him and I am ashamed to you, Xikuo said with his head lowered. Wai is who just stared coldly at Xikuo and said nothing. Under the leadership of Xikuo, Wai is who got into a black Mercedes-Benz. Xi's village. Fen Lin was sitting on a sofa and had noticed Xikuda walking away. It should be to pick up Wai Hei's do. Damn, it's the first time I've met such a teacher, and I actually feel a little nervous. Fen Lin crossed his legs and drummed his fingers rhythmically on the sofa. When I first entered Wujian, when I started fighting with those old men, they all said that they were old and couldn't bear the trouble. Since he entered the divine orifice realm, the second master no longer fought with him. It's too old to compare. This time is the opportunity. Kaikiokiao was sitting next to Fen Lin, using his Nokia to play snake. Suddenly, Fen Lin looked into the distance. He immediately stood up and said to Kaikiokiao, "Hide it for a while." As soon as he finished speaking, the glass in the room suddenly exploded. With a strong wind howling, an old man appeared in front of Fen Lin. This person is Wai Hei's who? When Fen Lin saw the man in front of him, he still couldn't detect the power. I just feel that there's an inexplicable sense of oppression on the other side. Kaikiokiao immediately hid behind the sofa and looked at the old man in front of her in shock. This aura is too strong. Is your surname Feng? Wai Hei's who asked coldly, crossing his arms. Yes, my name is Fen Lin. Fen Lin nodded. He is Hu Yongzu's son. I want to ask about my mother's whereabouts. She should be talking about your father, but your surname is Feng. Ask about his whereabouts. If both conditions are met, then I won't kill you. Wai Hei's who walked forward casually, without any caution. However, in Fen Lin's eyes, it seemed like an indestructible shield. Senior, are you sure you don't want to talk to me? Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. Wai Hei's who did not say a word, and when he was 2 meters away from Fen Lin, he suddenly burst into flames. Boom. In the blink of an eye, it landed in front of Fen Lin and hit Fen Lin. Fen Lin took out a dark golden dagger and pointed it at his fist. However, Wai Hei's who did not dodge at all and hit the tip of the dagger. Boom. The dagger ate Fen Lin's hand, turned into fragments. A force like Mount Tat pressed down on Fen Lin. Click. 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 The ground under Wai Hei's feet, the surrounding walls, and the chandeliers on the ceiling. Everything fell apart at this moment. Shout. Fen Lin's body was shaken violently and he flew backwards uncontrollably. He made a big hole in the wall of the villa and crushed his body on the lawn of the villa. Damn, what a difference in power. Fen Lin stood up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He now felt that his internal organs were increasing. It had been a long time since he encountered such a master. Call. The air roared again, like the sound of a speeding truck. Wai Hei's figure appeared in front of Fen Lin. His eyes narrowed slightly. I didn't expect you to have broken through the realm. It's a pity. Kaikiokiao, who was hiding in the living room of the villa, was completely scared when he saw this. What kind of strong man is this? Each blow is a lot of power. He looked at the 2 people on the grass in the distance through the big hole in the villa and immediately took out his mobile phone to send a message to Kai Lin. This old man is too strong, Fen Lin may die. At the same time. When Kai Lin in the hotel saw the mobile phone, he immediately got up and smiled at Kaizian. It has started. We will be there immediately. We will be at Xi's house. Kaizian nodded. He was also very interested in this legendary master. Hurry up, don't let Fen Lin die by then. Don't worry, you don't know Wai Hei's who. Fen Lin can at least wait a few minutes. Kai Lin opened the window with the high-rise building and jumped out with Kaizian. The roof of a high-rise building on the other side. Alice was sitting on it, looking at a laptop, all covered with surveillance cameras. The portraits are from Fen Lin and Wai Hei's who. But the next moment, the screen went black. Damn. Alice pressed the headphones to her ears and asked, "Are we there yet?" Middle-aged man came out of the headphones. Hurry up. The legendary king of hell, his battle information is priceless, Alice said excitedly. Chapter 355 Kai Lin takes action. Senior, I heard that you are my mother's older brother. I don't want to fight swords with you. Fen Lin gently stroked the dust on his body. Without saying a word, Wai Hei's jumped up and attacked Fen Lin again. Fen Lin shook his head. It seemed like this man didn't like nonsense. In this case, Fen Lin had nothing to say to him and could only fight hard and seize this opportunity. Oh. Wai Hei's appeared in front of Fen Lin again and punched. This time, his fist glowed orange. Fen Lin's figure disappeared in an instant and passed over Wai Hei's head. Bullet. His fingers pulled a scalpel from the front of the belt. Boom. Before Fen Lin could make a move, Wai Hei's body emitted a yellow light. The light was like an explosion, making a loud noise. The grass under his feet instantly split open and countless grass clippings flew out. Fen Lin's body was shocked again. Wai Hei's figure flashed, and before Fen Lin landed, he appeared below him and raised his right fist. This arm was glowing with yellow light. It's over. Wang Heizu straddled his body and took a step back, causing the dirt on the ground to splash. Boom. A punch hit Feng Lin in the stomach. This blow created a wave of air that swept through the entire building and shattered all the surrounding glass. At the same time, hiding on the far second floor, Xikuo and Xixing were all here. Xikuo had already picked up his wife and servants, and the reason he stayed with his son was to allow him to see how Feng Lin died. Okay. Xixing clenched his fist tightly and shouted excitedly. The power of this punch can cause death or serious injury. Xikuo's eyes were also a little cold. This was the legendary king of hell. If you can't beat a young man, then don't waste your time. Wang Heizu stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the dust in the distance, and said lightly, "Ashes Sinku, that's it." Feng Lin walked out, with black flames burning in front of him. As expected of Ashes Holy Goo, an attack of big level just now left him unharmed. However, one of the pairs of Ashes Holy Goo had already stuck to the mother's side and fell into a deep sleep. It's exactly what the second master said. If the gap is too big, one hit can put Ashes Holy Goo into a deep sleep. This should be the current scene. There are only a couple of Ashes Holy Goo left, which are used to save lives. Feng Lin also had key restoring pills. He decided to try it. "Senior's really planning to kill me." Feng Lin took out the thumbtacks on the left side of his belt one by one and stabbed himself. "Then let's fight." Feng Lin's figure suddenly disappeared, and all he could see was the ground collapsing around him. Oh! The black scalpel passed over Wang Heizu's neck. Wang Heizu took another step back and hit Feng Lin's scalpel. Boom! Feng Lin jumped up and hit Wang Heizu's ear with his knee. Wang Heizu remained motionless and quickly grabbed Feng Lin's knees. Call. Feng Lin's single eye glowed red and dark red flames surrounded his entire body. A flaming figure retreated dozens of meters to avoid being caught. Hey! Wang Heizu was suddenly shocked and retreated violently. Faga! There was blood flowing from his arm. Wang Heizu covered his arms and looked at Feng Lin in front of him and the human-shaped flames tens of meters away. It turned out to be separated. Just now he thought that the human-shaped flame was Feng Lin. Unexpectedly, Feng Lin was hiding behind him. Interesting. If you were an ordinary person, you might have fallen into this trap. This technique is not simple. Wang Heizu looked at Feng Lin calmly. "Let's officially start now. Let me show you what the gap is." As he spoke, Wang Heizu appeared behind Feng Lin. A yellow light shone around his body, enveloping him like armor. Boom! Feng Lin felt his body suddenly sink and a mouthful of blood spurted out. How about this technique? Wang Heizu aimed his punch at Feng Lin's head. Feng Lin felt as if his entire body was imprisoned and he couldn't move at all. Looking at the fist so close, Feng Lin could only block it with his arms in front of him. Spreads dark red ki throughout the body. Boom! His body was like a flying cannonball that hit the ground directly. The ground suddenly collapsed into a deep pit, with a span of 10 meters and a depth of 2 meters. The huge vibration was like an earthquake, causing the surrounding buildings to shake and the nearest house to collapse. Domits. Feng Lin mimicked blood directly and his arm seemed to lose consciousness. He took a deep breath, took out another thumbtack and stuck it into his body. Stop bleeding, reduce pain, stimulate meridian flow. Feng Lin stood up from the ground and stuck another thumbtack between his eyebrows. Next, place 2 pieces under each eye. Another one, stuck in the chin. Create a diamond shape. Wang Heizu's eyes narrowed. Could this be? Come on, let's move. When Feng Lin let go of ki, all the thumbtacks on his body burned red. With a smile on his lips, he attacked Wang Heizu like a wild beast. Boom! The 2 fists collided and Feng Lin's body suddenly flew upside down. But the next moment, Feng Lin appeared in front of Wang Heizu again. When Feng Lin was able to withstand Wang Heizu's attack, his superb fighting skills finally came into play. The surrounding buildings looked like paper in front of the 2 of them. Wherever it passes, it becomes ruins. Kaikyo Kiao, who was hiding among the ruins, was completely stunned. She looked at all this in disbelief. What kind of battle was this? Now, the battle between the 2 sides turned out to be Feng Lin's attack and Wang Heizu's defense. In the dark. To outsiders, it's just a ball of orange light, still standing. A group of dark red light continued to attack the orange light from all directions. Kai Lin and Kai Xian, who were hiding in the distance, looked at each other in confusion. They didn't know what Feng Lin had done, but he was not afraid of Wang Heizu's attack at all. Every time he was knocked down, he would reappear in front of Wang Heizu the next moment. What should I do? Kai Xian also felt his heart beat faster. Leave it to me. Feng Lin must have used some method to force his body to overwrite, which will probably kill him. Kai Lin suddenly ran away, landed in front of Wang Hei's Hu, and shouted, "Stop!" Brush. Fen Lin retreated, his left eye burning with dark red flames as he looked at Kai Lin beside him. "Kai Lin, what are you doing here?" Wang Hei's-Hu looked at the woman in front of him and said coldly, "Master, please spare Fen Lin's life." Kai Lin hugged Fen Lin, and in the darkness, a purple silver needle appeared in his hand. Brush. He quickly stabbed Fen Lin from behind. Fen Lin turned around and looked at Kai Lin in front of him with his dark red left eye. "Master, what are you doing?" Kai Kiao, who was in the distance, saw Kai Lin coming. He originally smiled, but when he saw this scene, he looked at Kai Lin blankly. "Fen Lin, since my master wants to kill you, I will definitely be by his side, but don't worry, I will do my best to save your life," Kai Lin calmly said to Fen Lin. Laugh. At this moment, Fen Lin's right eye suddenly flashed with a dark blue light. That. Kai Lin's hand suddenly lost consciousness and formed ice crystals. He quickly moved away from Fen Lin. Chapter 356 7 Deadly Needles. Wang Hei's-Hu in the distance looked at Fen Lin with a solemn expression. "Haven't used all your strength yet." He had never heard of such a person with dark red light in his eyes and deep blue light in his eyes. Ha! Fen Lin smiled at Kai Lin and suddenly disappeared. Where to escape? When Wang Hei's-Hu saw Fen Lin choose to escape, it was obvious that he had reached his limit. This type of person should not be allowed to escape. Ha! It's very interesting. Fen Lin has really made a breakthrough. I must catch him. Help Fen Lin hold on for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, you should be able to do it, right? On the roof of a skyscraper in the distance, Alice pressed her headphones and said, looking at the computer screen in front of him. Of course, came the voice of a middle-aged man, just as Wang Hei's-Hu was about to catch up with Fen Lin, a figure black suddenly appeared between the two. Fen Lin simply looked back and immediately disappeared. Wang Hei's-Hu stopped and looked at the man in a suit in front of him. Could it be Fen Lin's reinforcements? Punched the man in the suit. The man in the suit also punched him. Don't overestimate your capabilities. Wang Hei's-Hu's face was full of disdain, and his fists flashed with light. Boom. Suit suddenly flew backwards and crashed into a car in the distance. Even the car rolled and flew upside down. Just when Wang Hei's-Hu was about to continue chasing Fen Lin, he stopped. Because the middle-aged man standing there stood up again, with his entire right arm drooping. But with a relaxed smile on his face, he didn't care at all. Wang Hei's-Hu frowned. What's wrong with people nowadays? Are they that resistant? That's enough, get out. Alice's voice came from the headphones. The middle-aged man immediately turned around and ran away. Wang Hei's-Hu first glanced at the young man, then looked in the direction Fen Lin left, shaking his head slightly. I can't reach it anymore. Fen Lin took an elixir and the lost key began to recover quickly. In fact, this saves lives. Fen Lin fled towards the north as fast as he could. During this period, Fen Lin took out the purple silver needle and covered it with a layer of frost to prevent the poison from invading. He had saved one hand just for Kai Lin. He planned to take back this silver needle and study what Kai Lin was going to do. Feeling like he was almost done running, Fen Lin immediately dialed the secret legion's number. After revealing his account number, the other party approved a helicopter. Come and pick it up quickly. This trip to the magical capital has come to an end for now. Fen Lin sat in an open space and did not dare to remove the thumbtacks from his body. Now, as long as one escapes, his body will be out of control and all injuries will disappear. Near the magic city, there is the base of the secret army. In just 10 minutes, a helicopter flew over Fen Lin. He took a helicopter and rushed to Yan City, Jihangai town. Fen Lin jumped off the helicopter and finally returned here. He took out his phone and looked at it. It was 1:30 in the morning. Whether it was Zhu Ruan's villa or Yishin's villa, all the lights were out. Fen Lin arrived at Yishin's villa, jumped from the window, found the place where the treasures of heaven and earth were stored, and searched for healing herbs. The lights in the room turned on, Men Chengsheng turned his wheelchair and walked towards Fen Lin. Second Master, are you still asleep? Fen Lin turned around with a smile. Men Chengsheng saw the 4 thumbtacks on Fen Lin's face, his pupils shrank, and he cursed angrily. 7 fatal injections. You're so crazy. Hey, isn't it just 4 shots? Fen Lin smiled and hugged him. Herbs and head to the bathroom. He filled the bathtub with warm water and began to refine these natural and earthly treasures. What's going on? Men Chengsheng turned his wheelchair and followed him. I had a good fight with someone in the magic city just now. Under normal conditions, the other person could kill me with a few hits, so I came up with this method, Fen Lin said with a smile. Who? Men Chengsheng asked. Wang Hei's-Hu. King of hell, why hey is who? Your boy is crazy. How did I teach you? Don't you understand that if you can't fight, just run away? You almost died. Men Ching Sheng shouted angrily. Okay, second master, have I returned safely? This time I should be able to make a lot of progress in my recovery. Fen Lin was ready and began to remove the thumbtacks from his body. After removing one, blood began to flow everywhere on his body. He removed all the thumbtacks from his body except the 4 from his face. Fen Lin took off his clothes, put on his boxers, and lay down in the bathtub. Second master, I'm taking a break. Fen Lin removed all the thumbtacks from his face. The tight, wrinkled skin slowly began to relax. The light green pool was instantly dyed red, his arms fell and he closed his eyes. Early the next morning, Men Ching Sheng asked Sakon Jin to take Fen Lin out of the bathroom, clean his body, and take him to the room. Jinku Jiki, who had followed him all the time, crying and grabbing Men Ching Sheng's arm, Second master, what happened to the boss? He was seriously injured and fell into a coma. He will be fine for a few days. Men Ching Sheng shook his head slightly and picked up the phone. Take out your phone and make a call. He held his mobile phone in one hand, turned the wheelchair with the other, and walked out into the yard. A middle-aged Mazuan came from the phone. Lao Meng, you old people, get up early, don't take us young people with you. It was Fen Chen who spoke. Come and take care of your son. His wings have hardened and I can no longer control him, Men Ching Sheng said coldly. What's wrong? Fen Chen asked strangely. He dares to fight why he is who? He has used 4 of the 7 fatal injections and is still lying down. Men Ching Sheng couldn't help but cursed. What the hell did you teach him? He will kill people, don't he? Do you know? Are you still in Young City? Fen Chen asked in a deep voice. Not back. After Men Ching Sheng finished speaking, he hung up the phone. It's 10:30 in the morning. Zhou Wang returned from the company and prepared for training. Mu Xiaolu followed Men Ching Sheng's instructions and kept going beyond the limits. The two of them still didn't know about Feng Lin. At this moment, Fen Chen's figure appeared outside the villa. Zhou Wang shouted in surprise. Dad, why are you here? All right. After Fen Chen finished speaking, he walked towards Men Ching Sheng. Men Ching Sheng turned his wheelchair and carried Fen Chen to his bedroom. Fen Lin lies here. Jinku Jiki was sitting next to Fen Lin and grabbed Fen Lin's hand. Seeing Fen Chen come in, he hurriedly said, Dad, help my boss. 5th girl, you go out first. Men Ching Sheng looked at Miao Akahui. Jinku Jiki originally wanted to refuse, but it was the first time he saw the second master's eyes like this, so he could only nod. Fen Chen sat by the bed and grabbed Fen Lin's wrist. Look at your son, he can't even walk but wants to fly. He can't even defeat the 9 others. How dare you come to Is who? Men Ching Sheng was sat beside him. Why Is who deserves to die? An older master actually treats a young man like this. Murderer. Fen Chen rolled Fen Lin's eyelids and finally put his ear against Fen Lin's chest. After everything was over, Fen Chen walked out without any expression. What are you going to do? Men Ching Sheng asked coldly. I'm going to kill someone. Feng can open the door to the room. Chapter 357. If you dare to stop me, I will kill you. Your task now is to revive him and then teach him a lesson. Men Ching Sheng turned around and said. We can't save him. This time he suffered too many fatal injuries. The meridians in his body are in a mess. External interference will put him in greater danger, Fen Chen said calmly. He can only recover on his own. If it doesn't recover in a day, if you wake up, you will be in trouble. Men Ching Sheng slammed his wheelchair and remained silent. After Fen Chen left, he gently closed the door. Jinku Jiakahui, who was waiting outside, saw Fen Chen coming out and quickly grabbed Fen Chen's arm. Dad, how is the boss? Don't worry, this child has a long life. Fen Chen smiled slightly. Then leave it here. Arriving outside the villa, Fen Chen took out his mobile phone and made a call. After a while, an old man's voice came from the other side. Haha, Fen Chen, what do you want from me? Mr. Lan, help me find someone. Where is Wai Is he now? Fen Chen asked calmly. Lan suddenly asked. Why are you asking about him? He hurt my son, I will kill him. Fen Chen left the villa expressionlessly. My son was injured by his contemporaries. Even if he is injured by someone who was much better than him, I won't say anything. An old man at this level wants to kill him, I can't bear it. Fenken, calm down. Lan said in a deep voice. He said, yesterday I received news from the Secret Legion that Fen Lin returned from Demon City. He is okay, I'll go to Demon City now. Fen Chen nodded. Feng, let me clarify your relationship. Wang Heizu was not an evil person. At his level, he is of great use to the country. Lanny's voice even sounded pleading. Wang Heizu hated evil and hated him. Although he was aloof, he is still not a bad guy by any means. The country I want to kill someone who dares to stop me. Fen Chen left a sentence and hung up the phone. On the other hand, Lanny's hand holding the phone trembled. No, it's not right. Lanny walked back and forth in the yard with his cell phone in his hand. Phone call and said in a deep voice. Report to Mr. Xia of the Wujian department at the Magic City base. Zhuowen felt that it was a little strange today. Men Changshan was normally in the courtyard, but today he was alone. There was her and Mufatu in the courtyard. Furthermore, Fenken came and left today, so she walked to the villa. By chance I found Jin Gujiak sitting on a sofa, her eyes slightly red. It was the first time he saw Jin Gujiak like this, so he walked over and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Jin Gujiak just looked at Zhuowen and said nothing. At this moment, Men Changshan left his room. Jin Gujiak saw this and immediately ran over. Second master, is the boss awake? Men Changshan shook his head gently. Seeing this, Zhuowen's eyes suddenly widened. He immediately ran to the bedroom and found Fen Lin lying here. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Zhuowen's eyes suddenly turned red, and he turned and roared at Men Changshan. Hurt, Men Changshan said calmly. Why didn't you tell me? Fen Lin. Wake up. Zhuowen burst into tears, grabbed Fen Lin's wrist and shook her. If you can't die, you're just in a coma. Men Changshan said heavily and didn't tell them the truth. The 7 fatal needles will cause the most damage to the meridians, forcing an overdraft and possibly becoming crippled. This was the reason why Men Changshan was angry. However, he believed in Fen Lin's good luck that just 4 needles would be absolutely fine. Magic City. Fen Chen stood on top of a tall building with a cigarette in his mouth. He closed his eyes and continued to stand here. The ashes on his cigarette were already a centimeter long and did not fall. Suddenly, Fen Chen looked into the distance and his figure disappeared. Only an inch of ash remained, which fell slowly. On the other side, a bald old man with a cane was walking quickly down the street. Oh! Suddenly, the bald old man stood stunned on the spot, and a middle-aged man dressed in a casual suit appeared in front of him. Is it you? Lao Xia Fen Chen looked at the old man in front of him and said calmly. Wow, it's almost done. Wang Heizu was still useful. How about you give me some face? This person is a member of Infernal Affairs and guardian of the Demon City base. Xia Wenbo. If you dare to stop me, I will kill you. Fen Chenfen looked at Xia Wenbo calmly, as if he was saying something trivial. He turned around, took a step forward and disappeared. Xia Wenbo sighed lightly and could only follow him. A mansion on the outskirts. The Xia family and others are all here. Their villa has been destroyed and is still under construction. Xia Sheng was sitting in a wheelchair, looking at Kai Lin in the distance without blinking. Her eyes seemed to sink. Teacher, if there's nothing else, I will leave first. Kai Lin bowed respectfully. Don't call me teacher, I already kicked you out of school back then, Wang Heizu said calmly. Haha, but in my opinion, you will always be my teacher. Kai Lin looked at Xikulo next to him. Brother, I am leaving. Yes. Xikulo nodded. Seeing Kai Lin leave, Xikulo asked in a low voice. Master, did you expel the master? Yes, my disciple must be sincere. You can do good things openly and you can do bad things openly. Kai Lin is not suitable. Wang Heizu coldly looked at Kai Lin's back. Kai Lin had been away from here for a long time, but Kai Xian and Kai Kyokiao appeared here. Kai Ling smiled and took Kai Kyokiao's hand. Kyokiao, why are your eyes so red? I didn't sleep well last night, Kai Kyokiao replied calmly. I take it you're angry with me. Kai Ling said with a smile, I'm here for Fen Lin. That old man is my teacher. I beg you, and you will definitely let Fen Lin live. Then, what did the master stab him with? Kai Kyokiao raised her head and asked. It's a sleeping goo that can make Fen Lin sleep. If you don't believe me, you can ask Fen Lin, Kai Lin explained with a smile. Really? Kai Kyokiao looked at him in surprise and immediately dialed Fen Lin's mobile phone number with a smile. Kai Ling's eyes they flashed with a hint of coldness. She was not lying. In fact, it was goo she was just in case, even though Heizu beat the holy ash goo into Fen Lin's body into a deep sleep. Still have it in his body. If it is a poison that is harmful to the body, holy ash goo will devour it immediately. Sleeping goo is an exception, because it is a benign goo that makes people sleep and rest. I expected that Fen Lin could be so terrifying. Especially the smile he gave her before leaving made Kai Lin very uncomfortable. Did he already know that he was going to do it? I was a little helpless. I wouldn't be so lucky next time. Master, Fen Lin's phone is turned off, Kai Kyokiao asked while holding the phone. Don't worry, he is seriously injured. We will fight him again in a few days. Kai Lin smiled at Kai Kyokiao. Outside the Xi family villa, Fen Chen had already arrived, took a deep breath from his cigarette, and said calmly, there are only two powerful auras in the entire demon city. One is Xi Wenbo, and the other must be Wai Hei's Hu. Walked in. Chapter 358 Women will only affect my cultivation speed. Interior of the villa. As soon as Fenken entered, security guards surrounded him. Who are you? My master said that I won't see any guests these days, a strong man in the lead walked up and said. As soon as he finished speaking, he was about to step forward and push Fen Chen away, but found that the figure in front of him had disappeared. Not only him, but also several security guards behind him were rubbing their eyes. What's going on here? It's broad daylight, is it haunted? Living room. Fen Chen walked in expressionlessly with a cigarette in his mouth. Wai Hei's Hu, who was sitting in the main seat, looked at Fen Chen and stood up from the sofa. Is your name Wai Hei's Hu? Fen Chen asked, holding a cigarette in his left hand and inhaling the smoke. Presumptuous. Who do you think you are? How dare you call my ancestors by their names? Come here. Break my legs and throw them away. Xi Xing turned his wheelchair, looked at Fen Chen and shouted. Fen Chen calmly raised his hand and suddenly shook it in Xi Xing's direction. Faga. The air around Xi Xing suddenly exploded and his body, along with the wheelchair he was sitting in, turned into a ball. Blood spluttered. The floor, walls and ceiling were dyed red. It feels like a person crushing an orange, the juice flying everywhere and in the end there's only a ball of residue left. When Xikulo saw this scene, his pupils shrank to dots, he felt his vision go dark, and he almost fell. Son. Son. Xikulo howled madly, kneeling in front of the group, his face twisted. He looked at Fen Chen. What the hell did this man do? Wai Hei's whose heart also set off huge waves. He looked solemnly at Fen Chen in front of him. Who are you? It seems that you are Wai Hei's Hu. Please introduce yourself. My name is Fen Chen. You hit my son. Fen Chen again. He took a drag on the cigarette and said calmly. Are you Fen Lin's father? Wai Hei's Hu said sadly. Yes, I'm here to kill you. It seems that you like to bully the little guys. We have common interest in this. Fen Chen raised his hand again, looked at Wai Hei's Hu, and shook it suddenly. Boom. There was another explosion around Wai Hei's Hu's body. It was as if all the air began to compress. Wai Hei's Hu's expression changed, he quickly reached his limit, and his entire body was filled with orange light. But he could clearly feel how helpless his ki was in the face of the abyssal power. Boom. 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 Wai Hei's Hu could see with the naked eye that the compressed air was gradually reducing, getting closer to his body. Boom. The compressed air finally touched his body. His strong body began to be squeezed, twisted and shrunken. Click. The bones began to break. Faga. Blood gushed out of the skin all over his body. When Xikulo next to him saw this, his eyes almost popped out. Who was this person? My teacher is the king of hell. Huaxiuzhang ranked third on the top-ranked list. Let go of my master. Xikulo gritted his teeth and rushed towards Fen Chen. Fen Chen's eyes narrowed and Xikulo suddenly let out a mouthful of blood and suddenly knelt on the ground. His knees slammed into the ground and sank 3 inches deep. Boy. Stop. An old man on crutches suddenly appeared behind Fen Chen. This person is Xi Wenbo. He suddenly jumped up, used his crutch as a club, and slammed it hard against Fen Chen's head. I said, if you dare to stop me, I will kill you. Fen Chen didn't even look back. His other hand suddenly pointed at Xi Wenbo and shook him vigorously. Boom. Xi Wenbo's body was suddenly imprisoned in the air, unable to move at all. Fen Chen looked at Wai Hei's Hu. His strong body was twisted and deformed. It was as if juice had been squeezed out of his body and blood was flowing all over the floor. The orange ki is becoming weaker and weaker. Wai Hei's Hu couldn't believe the level this person at. At this moment, a series of cell phone ringtones rang here. Fen Chen waved his hand and Xi Wenbo, who was imprisoned in the air, flew back. He took out his cell phone and looked at Men Chengsheng's phone number. As soon as the connection was connected, Men Chengsheng's voice came from there. Come back, it was a false alarm. The boy is awake and his meridians are recovering. No problem. Grandma. I'm scared to death. I'll come back after killing Wai Hei's Hu, Fen Chen breathed. His face showed frivolity again. Old man, don't kill, don't kill. At this moment, Fen Lin's voice suddenly came from the phone. What's happening? Fen Chen released his hand. The pressure around Wang Hei's body instantly dissipated and he fell to the ground with a plop. Almost half of the bones were broken and now I don't even have the strength to get up. Wang Hei's who was your wife's older brother. I met him only after investigating here. Fen Lin's voice came from the mobile phone. That. Fen Chen frowned slightly. He didn't know about this. That should have been before his wife met him. Okay, I understand. Hang up first and leave it to me. After saying this, Fen Chen turned off the phone and put it in his pocket. Boy. That's enough. Even if you don't give me face, you have to give the old man face. Xia Wenbo rushed in again with shocking momentum. Haha, I will definitely give you face. Mr. Xia, come to Huazi and treat it as an apology. Fen Chen smiled and took out a box of Huazi from his pocket, took out a bar and handed it to him. At Xia Wenbo with a smile. Xia Wenbo looked confused, but he still instinctively put it into his mouth. Fen Chen took out a lighter and lit Xia Wenbo's cigarette. This isn't it, Huazi. Xia Wenbo took a sip and felt something was wrong, so he took a look at the mark. Don't look at him, just think of him as Huazi. I suddenly discovered that no one can deny face, but Mr. Xia must give it. Fen Chen smiled and hugged Xia Wenbo. Shoulders, I heard you have a granddaughter, not yet married, who happens to be a match for my son. That guy Fen Lin is really good. If you give me face this time, I can let them meet. Xia Wenbo nodded secretly. Okay, it's settled. Fen Chen walked to Wang Hei's and turned him onto his back. He grabbed the other man's arm and began to twist it. What are you doing? Xia Wenbo saw this and immediately stepped forward to stop him. Bone setting, have you forgotten my profession? I am a doctor. Fen Chen completely connected Wang Hei's body, squatted in front of him, and asked with a smile, do you know my wife? I'm not as skilled as the rest, but I have the skill. You kill me. Wang Hei's said calmly. Since you are my wife's friend, I won't do anything, but do you have to tell me why I killed my son? Fen Chen took out a cigarette and asked flatly. Wang Hei's pondered for a moment and said coldly. About 20 years ago, Yongzu came to me and told me that he had been cheated by a man named Feng, and finally escaped. What the hell, what is cheating? He almost lost his temper. It was obviously his first time and he was still a little boy who didn't understand anything. Yongzu looked like an experienced driver. Yongzu cried a lot at first and told me that if a man named Feng asks about his whereabouts in the future, he will definitely be the unfaithful person and ask me to kill him. Wang Hei's explained calmly. From Grandma. That stinky bitch. Brother, you're too honest, you have been fooled. Fen Chen rolled his eyes helplessly. You don't have a wife, do you? A woman will only affect the speed of my practice, of course not, wife, Wang Hei's said lightly. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Wando Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in the world of incredible novels. Chapter 359. Are you making fun of me? Those are angry, flirtatious words, you know. For example, if a woman says, I hate him. Go to hell, she doesn't actually hate him. Fen Chen originally wanted to explain patiently, but he didn't know how to explain it. So he could only wave his hand and say, forget it. No, you don't have a wife and you don't understand it even if I tell you. Are you lying to me? Wang Hei's asked doubtfully. Yes, she said that just to prevent me from finding her. He also understood that even 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to kill me. Fen Chen took a few drags on the cigarette and asked, can you tell me? Where is he now? He didn't say, but he would call me every year on my birthday. This year's birthday is still 3 months away, Wang Hei's explained. Come on. Brother, come to Huazi. Fen Chen took out another cigarette and stuffed it into Wang Hei's mouth. He smiled and said, where do you live? When it's your birthday, I'll go celebrate. Beside him, Xia Wenbo was still in a state of confusion. What the hell is going on? Just now it seemed like he was going to kill you, why did he suddenly make peace with you? But what happened to Fen Chen was normal. Xia Wenbo has lived for so long and has met more than tens of millions of people. The one with the thickest skin must be Feng. Fen Lin lay here, feeling pain all over his body. After Min Chengsheng scolded Fen Lin, he left satisfied. Now, next to Fen Lin was Huroy and Jinguji Hui. Where is the fourth son? He didn't come to see me even if he was injured. Fen Lin asked strangely. He was playing. He said you fainted and it was nothing serious, Jinguji Hui said with a smile. Has Zhou Qi not returned yet? Fen Lin asked. She called me earlier and told me that her mission was complete, but she said she wanted to go home, Jinguji Akane explained. Fen Lin nodded and said with a smile, "Look at your eyes, they look like red lanterns. They are just ordinary injuries. Why are you crying? What common injuries? You can't lie to me. This is the first time. It's the first time I see the second master like this. Highly strong." Zhuoyang grabbed Fen Lin's wrist tightly. "Zhuoyang, you have been holding on long enough. Come out and let the boss take care of you." Jinguji Qihui took Zhuoyang's hand away. "Don't touch me. My man doesn't need your care." Zhuoyang shook off Jinguji Qihui's hand. "I'll clean it up. Did I give you face? Get out." Jinguji Qihui took Zhuoyang's arm and said, "Okay, come one by one." Fen Lin looked at the two people in front of him helplessly, shouting, "Go out to train. Qihui will take care of me during the day, and you will take care of me at night." Zhuoyang's face suddenly turned red. But Fen Lin was injured and the second master said that he might not be able to move in the next few days, so she didn't care. After Zhuoyang left, Jinguji Qihui immediately lay down next to Fen Lin, hugged him and said, "Boss, don't take risks in the future. This is the first time I have seen the second master so angry." Fen Lin shook his body slightly and said with a smile, "Fifth child, why don't you go to rest and call fourth child?" "What do you mean?" Jinguji Akane puffed his lips. "I just said it clearly. I'll take care of you during the day. It's inconvenient for you to live with a girl." Fen Lin looked a little embarrassed. "HNPH. Our father agreed that I would marry you, what's the problem?" Jinguji Akane rested his head on Fen Lin's chest. "I've been holding it back for a long time. I want to pee, but I can't move now." Fen Lin looked a little embarrassed. "Let the fourth child do it. It's not like I've done it. I haven't seen it before, leave it to me." Jinguji Akane was about to leave and head to the study beyond. During this time, Yi Shen has been working here. "Qihui, what's wrong with you? Do you have a urinal here?" Jinguji Akane asked. "No, otherwise I will ask someone to buy one." Yi Shen took out his mobile phone. "No need, I will let my servants buy it faster." Jinguji Akane smiled. He waved his hand and left here. Suddenly, he saw a bottle of Coca-Cola there, which Sekonjin had thrown away after drinking it. He immediately took two of them and went to the back room. "Boss, are you okay?" "Damn. I realized you were making fun of me. It wouldn't be right if it was twice as big." Fen Lin rolled his eyes. "Yeah, sorry." Jinguji Akane took out the dagger from his body, gently cut the front end of the coat. "Is it okay?" "Well, barely enough." Fen Lin nodded slightly. Jinguji Qihui immediately came to Fen Lin and prepared them both, fearing that Fen Lin had too many bottles and one bottle would not be enough. "Hey, boss, I'm here." Jinguji Akane smiled. Fen Lin closed his eyes and felt that asking Zhuoyang for help with this kind of thing would be better than Jinguji Qihui. A full 30 seconds passed and he still didn't come out. Jinguji Qihui suddenly frowned. "Boss, isn't there something wrong with you? You're the only one with a problem, don't talk." Fen Lin simply felt too nervous, and as he gradually relaxed his body, he finally solved the problem. Jinguji Akane immediately went to the bathroom, ran back, and sat down. "Lay down next to Fen Lin again." She whispered in Fen Lin's ear. "Boss, you said that you have no feelings for me, but your body is very honest." Fen Lin also blushed and his mood towards her had indeed changed. Fen Cheng called Fen Lin and told him that there was something else. Fen Lin didn't say anything. Maybe his father found out about his mother's whereabouts from Wang Hei's Hu. Before I knew it, it was already getting dark. Zhuoyang and Mufelu took Fen Lin back to the villa opposite. Mufelu also discovered that Fen Lin was seriously injured. After sending Fen Lin to his room, the two left. Fen Lin lay here, shaking his body slightly, but he felt more comfortable here. After a while, Zhao King hurried over and looked at Fen Lin nervously. "I heard from my sister that you are injured. Are you okay?" "It's okay, I just can't move my body." Fen Lin said helplessly. "Hey, tonight King, no matter what they do to me, I can't resist hate. After all, it's okay." Zhao King's face suddenly turned red and she immediately turned around and left. Fen Lin nodded in satisfaction. This was the reaction a woman should have. However, Fen Lin also felt that it was time to respond to Lao Wu. After a while, Zhuoyang, Mufelu, and Zhao King walked in carrying food. Compared to Zhuoyang, Mufelu and Zhao King took very good care of Fen Lin. After all, Zhuoyang is a rich man and is not very familiar with taking care of people. But he was very serious and Fen Lin was embarrassed to say that he didn't take good care of her. "I finally stayed up until night. Zhuang came to Feng Lin's room in her pajamas. Her face was flushed, and she was holding a newly purchased urinal in her hand. He closed the door and windows, turned off the lights, and lay down next to Feng Lin. "You can't do anything today, just go to sleep." Zhuang covered Feng Lin with a quilt, lay down next to him and said, "Honey, do you keep your word?" Feng Lin suddenly asked, "What does this mean?" Zhuang's expression was calm. Anyway, she was shameless, so some things shouldn't count, so they couldn't. "You promised me 10 seconds a week. It's almost a month. A total of 40 seconds. Let's give it today," Feng Lin said slowly. Chapter 360 China's First Sword. When Zhuang heard this, her body suddenly stiffened, and after thinking for a while, she smiled as if her conspiracy had succeeded. "Stop 40 seconds. How about I give you a round number and a minute?" Zhuang turned sideways and smiled at Feng Lin. Feng Lin glanced at Zhuang sideways, feeling that things were not that simple. "But I would definitely choose to accept that free benefits." "Okay, then I'd rather be respectful than obey. Come on, I'll give you a head start today." Zhuang untied her pajamas and lay down next to Feng Lin. He closed his eyes with a red face. "Come on, wait a minute, don't wait until the due date. Come here, I can't move now." Feng Lin shook his body vigorously. Although his body was healed, in essence, at least it was, he needs a day of rest. "You still want me to put it in your mouth? I made it very clear at the beginning that I could let you touch me for 10 seconds and you touch me, understand?" Although Zhuang said this, she still felt open when she was next to Feng Lin. Heartbeat. "Honey, this is boring." Feng Lin's voice was a little indifferent. "Love comes or it doesn't." While speaking, Zhuang glanced at Feng Lin sideways. She held her cheeks with her arms and struck a seductive pose. Feng Lin suddenly felt his blood surge. "Come on, husband, they are all yours tonight." Zhuang suddenly realized that this was not revenge against Feng Lin. Let him continue harassing him. "I finally found an opportunity to make him uncomfortable." "What the hell, Zhuang, have you given me face?" Feng Lin said coldly. "I hate it. You're scolding me after taking that initiative." Zhuang put her hand in front of Feng Lin, looking aggrieved. Feng Lin took a deep breath. Sooner or later, this stinky bitch needs to be taught a lesson. Tonight, the only benefit Feng Lin got was to feast his eyes. But I would prefer not to have this benefit. After resting for a night, Feng Lin felt that his muscles and bones had connected. All arms and legs can move. Zhuang and Zhao King went to the company first. In the morning, it was Mu Feng who took care of Feng Lin. At noon, Feng Lin was finally able to move. "However, I am still in the recovery period and cannot use excessive qi." Arriving at Men Chengsheng's side, Jinggu Jiqi ran over first and hugged Feng Lin. "Boss, can you go?" "Don't worry." Feng Lin still felt a little pain in his body. Jinggu Jiqi let go of Feng Lin with a smile and smiled at him. Feng Lin approached Men Chengsheng, who was playing chess with Yi Dan. "This time we have made a lot of progress." Men Chengsheng looked at Feng Lin. "Second master taught me well." Feng Lin smiled and leaned on the armrest of the wheelchair. "Stop flattering me. Your return this time depends entirely on luck. You can't take that risk next time," Men Chengsheng said in a low voice. Yes, Feng Lin thought of the middle-aged man in a suit who suddenly appeared when he escaped that day. It was he who worked a few seconds. However, what surprised Feng Lin was that there were no key fluctuations in that person. He guessed that it should also possess powerful secret techniques. "Second master, what is this?" Feng Lin took out a purple-silver needle from his body. Men Chengsheng sniffed it and explained, "A large dose of sleeping goo. Really, it's sleeping goo." The corners of Feng Lin's mouth raised slightly. In this way, he had roughly guessed Kai Ling's intention. "Where did you get it?" Men Chengsheng asked. "When Wai Heizu and I were fighting, Kai Ling suddenly appeared and stabbed me with this, but I was prepared." Feng Lin shook the needle hard and the silver needle penetrated deep into the earth. "After you fall asleep, she has many ways to keep you from waking up." Men Chengsheng glanced at Feng Lin lightly. "In this case, you can't take away the secret ashes glue on his body." Detour. A big circle, it turned out to be for this matter. Feng Lin couldn't help but shook his head. At this moment, Feng Lin's cell phone vibrated. He took it out and looked at it. It was Kakiokiao's number. Feng Lin hesitated for a moment and then answered the phone. "Feng Lin. Are you okay?" Kakiokiao asked there. "Okay. Great. By the way, you shouldn't blame the teacher wrongly. Master did this for you," Kakiokiao explained over the phone. "She is the old man's apprentice and knows that you are overgrowing. My body specially gave you the sleeping goo." Feng Lin laughed lightly. "Really?" "Of course," Kakiokiao said there. Yes, I understand, Fen Lin nodded, but he didn't point it out immediately. It's okay, I'm just here to tell you this. I'm afraid you may misunderstand the teacher, so you should take good care of yourself. After Kakioki finished speaking, she hung up the phone. How naive, Fen Lin sighed softly, but he was a child after all, so it was normal for him to be fooled. Ash's holy goo was a good thing. Kai Lin had done a lot to obtain Ash's holy goo permanently, so it was only natural. Second master, can I take away Kai Lin's holy ash goo now? Fen Lin asked. No, at least within 100 meters, but I guess he won't find you easily in the future, Men Changsheng explained with a smile. Fen Lin shook his head. The main task now was to increase his strength. After facing Wai Hei's Hu, he realized that there was still a huge gap between him and Master Wu Jian. After touching his body, Fen Lin found a white sword-shaped piece of metal. This was originally found in the Caitian Palace. The holy sword of the White Emperor. Men Changsheng, who was playing chess, looked at Fen Lin, his face changed drastically, and he immediately snatched the iron piece from him. He watched carefully, with a burst of ecstasy on his face. It is indeed the holy sword of the White Emperor. You have found the treasure. Is it very powerful? Fen Lin asked strangely. Yes. This is called the best sword in China, Men Changsheng explained. It is rumored that this was passed down from the ancient sect, the Holy Sword sect, and was later learned by a magician. He established another sect called the White Sword sect. White Sword sect. Fen Lin's eyes widened. He had saved Sui from the White Sword sect several times. Yes, the White Sword sect was considered a big sect back then, and could compete with a Qiongun sect. But with the disappearance of the founder, it has declined. To put it bluntly, it's rubbish now. Men Changsheng handed the iron piece to Fen Lin. Let's see how well it fits. How are you? If you can learn it, it will improve you greatly. Okay. Fen Lin carefully studied the previous method. After careful study, Fen Lin became more and more surprised. Before, he thought it was a sword technique, just like Jinguji Akahu's fighting method. But upon further investigation, it is Edgeworth. To understand it simply, the ki gushing from the body can be transformed into the shape of a sword, thus increasing the attack power and piercing power. Be so excited, this is simply a magical ability. Ordinary people's ki bursts out and is suppressed. Simply put, it is like a slap. Now it can turn the ki into the shape of a dagger. Stinging sensation caused by a dagger is much greater than that of a slap. At this moment, Fen Lin's cell phone rang again. He found that it was Alice's phone number. Suddenly, Fen Lin's expression condensed. That the middle-aged man in a suit who gave him time of day was Alice's driver. Chapter 361. The Zhu family is not simple. Lin, are you still in the Magic City? Alice's not-so-standard Chinese came out of the phone. I am no longer here. I will disband, return home, and live a peaceful life with my wife, Fen Lin said calmly. What do you mean? Alice asked strangely. I fought with the master and forced the meridians in my body to circulate. Now that the meridians are useless, I will never be able to become an ancient warrior, Fen Lin said helplessly. You're lying to me. Alice's voice gradually became serious. If you knew who I was fighting, you would believe it. Fen Lin grabbed the hand of Alice, who was not an ancient warrior. But the driver dared to stand in front of Wai Hei's Hu. Fen Lin became more and more curious about his identity. It's a shame. After Alice finished speaking, she hung up the phone. After his reminder, Fen Lin remembered that there were still some things that had not been explained to him in the Magic City. He first called Li Pingquan so that San Juan Rui could leave. After that, he called Fan Laxi again and told them that the crisis was over. I learned from my father that he only killed Xixing. Xikula did not dare to speak angrily, and although he was resentful in his heart, he could only let it go. Along with Wai Hei's mediation, Xikula also accepted the reality. But this is just the surface, no one knows your inner thoughts. After finishing the matter at hand, Fen Lin began to study the White Emperor Holy Sword. Now that his body is injured, he feels more comfortable and can calm down and study. When he fully recovers, he plans to continue destroying the 9 others. As for the Kai Lin woman, Fen Lin also had to think carefully about how to deal with her. I hated these types of women. If he could face Liu Nian, it would be a good sight. Fen Lin's eyes glanced at Mu Xiaoyu from time to time. Because it is a bit dazzling, I can't control my eyes. He decided to return to Zhu Ruan's villa, calm down and study hard. Upon reaching the lawn of the villa opposite, the little fox jumped down from the roof and approached Fen Lin. Huh. There seems to be something different about you. Fen Lin took the little fox and looked at him carefully, but he couldn't tell. Ouch. The little fox broke free, rolled his eyes at Fen Lin in a very human and ran towards the villa. Fen Lin shook his head and began to study this technique. Before I knew it, it was already dusk. Fen Lin lightly shook his body to release a small amount of qi. He began to seriously train this method. Practicing Kung Fu requires fitness. This is very similar to studying partial subjects. Some people are not good at other subjects, but they are very good at one subject. This feeling seems to be innate and there is no deliberate effort, but it feels simple. That's the fit. Fen Lin felt that it was a good fit for this technique. She tried it several times in a row and gradually found it. Fen Lin, can you walk now? Zhu Wang returned from the company and asked in surprise when she saw Fen Lin in the yard. Yes, Fen Lin nodded slightly and continued practicing. Zhu Wang sat next to Fen Lin and said with a smile, "This time I sold half of the scar treatment medicine and it has become a hot search again." Fen Lin nodded with a smile. No wonder Zhu Wang didn't come to practice today. I went to the company with Zhao King early and didn't come back until now. Now that the company is gradually on the right track, I will spend money to fund a scientific research team to develop new products. Zhu Wang hugged her knees with both hands and thought about the future. Okay, I support it. Fen Lin nodded slightly. Zhu Wang looked at Fen Lin, her eyes curved into a crescent. It was really great to meet Fen Lin. At this time, Zhu Wang's cell phone rang. She took it out, looked at it, and said with a smile, "Ying Ying, you haven't called me for a long time." "Shouting, your house is gone." Zhu Ziang voice coming from there. That. The smile on Zhu Wang's face stopped abruptly. Zhang City. Zhu Wang pushed Fen Lin back. The Zhu family villa has been reduced to ruins. She ran inside like crazy, scraping the broken walls with all her might and shouted loudly, "Dad! Mom!" Zhu Ziang also started crying and followed Zhu Wang. What happened? Fen Lin looked at Zhu Yan next to him. This is the camera I asked people to investigate. Zhu Yan took out his mobile phone and opened a video. I saw a circle of waves suddenly occur in the center of the Zhu family's villa, shattering everything around it. The camera screen also turned into a black screen at this time. There is no fire, which shows that it is not an explosive. If it is a key explosion, this person is at least at the divine orifice realm. Fen Lin looked at the short video and said, "Divine aperture," Zhu Yan said softly. After a while, the excavator came over and started digging here. Fen Lin did not go to rescue him because he felt very clearly that there was no life beneath the ruins. Several excavators worked for a full hour and finally unearthed all the ruins here. In total, more than a dozen bodies were found, including security guards and servants. However, there were no bodies of Zhu Chuan and Wang Qin. When Fen Lin saw this, he quickly stepped forward and held Zhu Wang in his arms. He whispered, "Don't cry. Your parents may still be alive." After Fen Lin reminded her, Zhu Wang noticed that her father was not here. Mom's body. Fen Lin accompanied Zhu Wang to the police station to take notes, and today that too rested at Zhu Yan's house. "Fen Lin, my parents must be fine, right?" Zhu Wang's eyes were red and she had asked 7 or 8 times along the way. "It's okay, otherwise why aren't their bodies there?" Fen Lin comforted him in a low voice, "Maybe the gangsters will call you in a few days." "Well, it must be like this, it must be like this." Zhu Wang nodded with tears in her eyes. "Honey, if you feel uncomfortable, hit me." Fen Lin looked at Zhu Wang's rebellious look and said in a deep voice, "They were probably arrested because of me. You haven't recovered yet. When you fully recover, I will hit you again." Zhu Wang forced an ugly smile. He had asked Wang Ling before and the Wang family didn't know what happened. Zhu Wang really didn't understand. If he wanted to blackmail Fen Lin, wouldn't it be better to arrest him? "Why do you want to arrest your parents?" "Shouting, go to sleep. Maybe there will be news tomorrow." Zhu Ziang walked over and grabbed Zhu Wang's hand. "Get some rest. I'll call the higher-ups and ask them to help me check it out," Fen Lin said to Zhu Wang. "Fen Lin, I will sleep with you today." Zhu Wang looked at Fen Lin and whispered. "Okay," Fen Lin nodded. The two lay together. Zhu Wang hugged Fen Lin tightly, for fear that Fen Lin would also leave him. Fen Lin gently stroked Zhu Wang's back and whispered comfort. Around 10 o'clock at night, Fen Lin's cell phone vibrated. When he saw that it was Lanny's call, he immediately responded. "How is it? Did the supercomputer find it?" He didn't find the whereabouts of his parents, but he found something more secret. Lanny paused and said, "The Zhu family is not simple." Chapter 362 Descendants of Zhu Fu. Zhu Wang was lying on Fen Lin's left side, hugging him tightly. Fen Lin also held his mobile phone in his left hand, only for Zhu Wang to hear it. Zhu Wang's expression was a little confused. What does it mean that the Zhu family is not simple? Aren't they just an ordinary business family? How do you say this? Feng Lin asked. This matter is very important. I will be home soon. If you come to my house, I will tell you personally, Lanny replied there. Feng Lin and Zhu Ruan looked at each other and immediately stood up. The two left the villa and Feng Lin took Zhu Ruan to Lan's house. As soon as the two got off the car, a Huangqi car arrived not far away. Lanny walked out of the back row and smiled lightly. The time is right, Mr. Lan. Although Zhu Ruan and Lan Rao were at odds, she still respected Lanny, the founding general of the country. Follow me. Lan led the two to the mansion villa. There were only three of them in the huge living room. Sit down. Lan greeted Feng Lin and Zhu Ruan, took out a cigarette from his body, lit it, and took a drag. Mr. Lan, I wonder what you meant by what you said on the phone before. Zhu Ruan's throat moved and she asked seriously. Zuchan's father, your grandfather, is called Zhugusu, Lanny said. Zhu Ruan nodded. Yes, my grandfather is Zhugusu. Your grandfather's father's name is Zhu Quan and your grandfather's mother's name is Zhu Jiu, Lanny continued. I do not know anything about this. Since Zhu Ruan was born, only her grandfather is still alive among the older generation. The grandmother never met, much less the grandfather's parents. Zhu Quan and Zhu Jiu are husband and wife, brother and sister, and they are close. Lan took a long drag on the cigarette and blew out a ring of smoke. Shit. Feng Lin cursed secretly. Zhu Ruan glared at Feng Lin fiercely, then looked at Lanny. Is there any secret in this? Yes. Your grandfather's father, your great-grandfather, an expert in our country, also knew him. According to Zhu Quan, he said that he was born in the Min dynasty. Lan looked at Zhu Ruan and said. What? Min dynasty? Zhu Ruan covered her mouth in shock. Feng Lin also frowned. The last one of the Min dynasty was 1644. Even if he was born in this year, he would be almost 400 years old now. Old man, stop being pretentious and tell me, what do you know? Feng Lin asked in a deep voice. It is rumored that Zhu Quan's bloodline is descended from Zhu Fu, the immortal, Lanny explained. They have a tradition of marrying close relatives. As a doctor, you should know the consequences, right? If you do, most of their descendants will die young, and congenital genetic diseases are much greater than those of ordinary people. Feng Lin nodded. Because the couple's genetic sequences are basically the same, those back genes will be amplified. This is a disadvantage, which is why our country prohibits marriage within 3 generations. But where there is something good, there must be something negative. Do you know what the advantages are? Lanny continued to ask. Feng Lin narrowed his eyes and said solemnly. The bad genes will be amplified, but the good genes will also be amplified. Yes, for example, the nobles of medieval Europe, to keep their bloodline pure, almost all intermarried. There are many descendants of idiots who die young, but normal descendants often have intelligence and talents far beyond ordinary people. Lan took a drag on the cigarette, paused and said, this is what Zhu Fu's descendants are like. That is, Shaowen's great-grandfather was able to live so long because he inherited Zhu Fu's excellent genes. Feng Lin asked. Yes, the Zhu family has ushered in a turning point, and that is Zhugusu. At this point, Lanny suddenly smiled and asked, Master Wu Jian, do you know? Of course you do. Feng Lin nodded. He was unique in seniority. All members of Wu Jian must call him Old Master when they meet. Zhugusu and the old man are the same age and have a good relationship, Lan said with a smile. What? Feng Lin was surprised. His father told him that he had at least 120 years. This is due to the blessing and powerful cultivation. If Zhugusu is still alive, it should be similar. According to the old man, Zhugusu fell in love with a woman with a foreign surname and was kicked out of the house because he did not want to marry her sister. Zhugusu was 20 years older than his wife. When they got married that year, the old man was to congratulate her. Zhugusu was 50 years old, his wife was 30 years old. But for some reason, they are obviously not related by blood, but all of his children died in childhood, and his wife was 50 years old, and they had Zhu Chuan. Feng Lin and Zhu Ruan listened carefully. His wife gave birth to Zhu Chuan when she was 50 years old, and Zhu Chuan is almost 50 now. Zhugusu is 20 years older than his wife and is now almost 102. Indeed, it is the right time. Furthermore, Zhu Ruan has a natural affinity for tactical decisions. It must be a descendant. I received news that true humanity is very interested in the genes of Zhu Fu's descendants. Lan paused and said, I'm just telling you I guess that Zhu Chuan was most likely captured by the True Humanity organization. Real human. Zhu Ruan looked at Feng Lin in confusion. I'll explain it to you when I get back. Feng Lin put his arms around Zhu Ruan's waist, his expression becoming more and more solemn now that he could find Zhu Chuan. Maybe Zhu Ruan will also be their target in the future. Okay, this is the news I have received so far. Lan looked at Zhu Ruang. I can only say that if your father is willing to cooperate with them, it will be very easy to live together. Yes, the blood of Zhu Fu's descendants. Apart from you, your father is the only one and they should treat him with caution. Fen Lin also comforted him. Zhu Ruang nodded heavily. She knew something about scientific research. If you want to study genes, you have to start with blood. It takes a long time. Mr. Lan, thank you very much. Zhu Ruang stood up and bowed deeply to Lanny. Xu Fenglin, I helped him get out of his face. Sooner or later, he and I will be a family, Lan said calmly. Zhu Ruang tried her best not to curse. When he talked about meeting Fen Lin's family, didn't he just tell himself that Fen Lin was going to marry Lan Rao? Haha. Thank you, you should go to bed early. Fen Lin smiled awkwardly and left with Zhu Ruang. The two were sitting in the car, and Zhu Ruang said viciously, what did he mean just now? Was he pressuring me? Damn. Were you not worried about your parents anymore? Fen Lin rolled his eyes. Of course I'm worried. Zhu Ruang crossed her arms and looked at Fen Lin coldly, but she was also worried that Fen Lin had run away with another woman. On the way back, Fen Lin suddenly remembered what his father had said. He said that he owed Grandpa Zhu Ruang a favor and that maybe his father knew something. Expect a call tomorrow to ask. At this moment, Fen Lin's cell phone rang. He took it out and looked at it, and found that the call ID displayed a bunch of garbled characters. That must be Liu Nian. Boss, Liu Nian's voice came. I'm driving. If you have something to say, please tell me, Fen Lin said calmly. Do you drive a small car or a big car? Liu Nian asked with a smile. I'm dead. Fen Lin's voice became colder. I have news about Kai Lin, Liu Nian said immediately. Chapter 363 Call Mom. I have information about Kai Lin here. When Liu Nian said this, he spoke very quickly because he was afraid that Fen Lin would hang up. Hearing this, Fen Lin parked the car on the side of the road. Now he dreams about Liu Nian and Kai Lin having sex. It is best that both die together. Who was Kai Lin? Fen Lin pretended to be confused. Boss, don't lie to me. This woman, Kai Lin, wants to harm you. I guess you already know that. Liu Nian learned that Kai Lin used a trip to bring out the legendary King of Hell. But even so, Fen Lin still couldn't be left behind. Now, Kai Lin's matter has not been completed, and she will not do what she promised herself. Liu Nian felt that this woman, Kai Lin, was difficult to control. The best way is to let Feng Lin kill her. Boss, do you still remember what I told you last time? Kai Lin cooperated with the first sect, so we're enemies. Liu Nian said with a smile. I should go to Tinshan province in the near future. I heard that the ruins of an ancient sect were found in the Tinshan desert. Why didn't you go and tell me if there was such a thing? Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. The country must have also received the news. I guess the boss will also come by then. Liu Nian laughed. I don't want to meet the boss yet, for fear that he will lose control and marry me as his wife. Be a damn wife. Zhu Ruang suddenly cursed into her cell phone. It's night now and the two of them are sitting in the car, extremely quiet. Zhu Ruang could hear clearly. It had been a long time since she was used to hearing the tone in which Liu Nian and Fen Lin spoke. There is always a foxy smell, like he is flirting. Furthermore, the last time she gave Fen Lin the underwear she had worn, Zhu Ruang had not yet resolved the matter with her. This time, he dared to mock his man and Zhu Ruang immediately lost his guard. This voice, Zhu Ruang. Your family is gone. Liu Nian said lightly. Hearing this, Zhu Ruang's eyes widened suddenly. She took Fen Lin's phone and turned on a speaker. How do you know? Did you do it? Zhu Ruang asked sharply. Call Mom and I'll tell you, Liu Nian said with a smile. Mom, Zhu Ruang shouted directly, but said two words in a voice that I could hear. Buy a pen. Hey, I have such a shameless daughter, maybe she inherited it from me. I would. It would be a shame not to tell you, Liu Nian's voice said there. You. Ugly monster. Disgusting thing. Sooner or later I will kill you. Zhu Ruang slapped her leg angrily, anger about to burst out of her head. Liu Nian. Did you arrest his parents? Fen Lin asked coldly. Liu Nian laughed and said, call me wife and I'll tell you. Tell me first and then I'll call you wife. Then I'll tell the boss half of it first. The data from the supercalculator I stole can almost nullify ancient times. I only let one organization see a small part of the world of warriors, Liu Nian said there. Wife, you can tell me the next half. Fen Lin said lightly. Zhu Ruang was full of hatred, but it was about her parents, so she could only endure it. I'll tell you, but I didn't say when. Husband, take care of our daughter. Liu Nian hung up the phone after saying that. What the hell? Zhu Ruang was about to curse, but found that the phone was hung up. Damn. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Zhu Ruang looked around, as if looking for something to bend, and finally saw Fen Lin's head. He supported Fen Lin's head with one hand and held her tightly in his arms. It was like pressing down on her wrist, trying to flatten Fen Lin's head. Indeed, something was flat, but it was not Fen Lin's head. After a while, Zhu Ruang returned to normal and let go of Fen Lin. Fen Lin immediately opened the window and breathed in the fresh afternoon air. You haven't told me what a real human being is. Zhu Ruang also opened the window and asked with her chin raised. Fen Lin started the car. It was already too late to bother Zhu Yuan's family further, so he went to Zhu Ruang's small villa in Zhang City. During this period, Fen Lin roughly talked about real human beings. He also expressed his conjecture, remembering that Liu Nine had said that he was preparing to leave the 9 others. So it is very possible to have contact with real humans. Just because you have so much information in your hands, you can make any powerful organization accept it. Zhu Ruang took a deep breath and turned her sadness and anger into strength. Now that she knows who her enemy is, she has a goal and must become a teacher as soon as possible. Early the next morning, Zhu Ruang drove to Zhu Yuan's house first to express her gratitude to them. After that, they went to Lan's house to express their gratitude. This time, Lanny told them all the main information. Fen Lin came here and told Lanny what happened to Liu Nine yesterday. Lanny didn't know at first, but he found out after calling to confirm. Fen Lin couldn't help but marvel at Liu Nine's intelligence network. Fen Lin, according to the news here, our secret army is planning to do something big this time. Lan put his cell phone in his pocket and looked at Fen Lin with a smile. The ruins are open to the public this time. Open. Fen Lin couldn't help but laugh. So, those aristocratic sects may be on the move. Yes, the ruins are currently guarded by 5 WGM members and will open in 5 days. He said with a smile. They will send you the exact address immediately and give it to you later. Thank you so much. Fen Lin nodded and left with Zhu Ruang. Originally, Fen Lin planned to go to school to see Tang Qian. Later I felt it was troublesome and didn't go. The first priority now is to solve Zhu Ruang. I arrived at Yun City without stopping. Fen Lin told Men Changshan what happened this time. Men Changshan was also full of surprise. She could make tactical decisions instantly before, and her surname was Zhu. I had this suspicion, but I didn't expect it to be true. Second Master, will you go to the ruins of this sect? While Fen Lin was chatting with Men Changshan, Lanny had already sent the address. It looks like it's in the desert. I am disabled and it is not convenient for me to go. You and the others can go. Men Changshan shook his head slightly. Fen Lin held a small meeting with Lao Xiaowu and finally came to the conclusion that he would go alone to explore the situation. After that, let them pass. After everything was ready, Fen Lin took a plane and rushed to Tianjin province. After these few days of recovery, Fen Lin's body has returned to its maximum level. The only thing that has not been recovered is the pair of ashes holy goo. It seems that it will take a few days. As soon as he left the airport, Fen Lin took the bus and rushed to Urumqi. Urumqi is a county-level city bordering the desert. But lately the tourism industry has developed quite well. Fen Lin boarded the bus and found that it was full of people, and some were still standing. But there was an empty seat, and by the window sat a very beautiful woman, about 20 years old. She was wearing white stockings, black leather shoes, and a blue gothic skirt. He has long hair with bangs and a white rabbit patch over his left eye. Elegant, Fen Lin thought to himself. This outfit is like a cosplay. It is understandable to use it in an exhibition. The key is that on the street he looks like an idiot. But there was only one empty seat next to him, so Fen Lin sat there. Out. The woman looked at Fen Lin and cursed in a low voice. Chapter 364 Psychiatric Certificate. Fen Lin looked back and realized why there were empty seats here, but some people over there were standing. I bought a ticket. Why do you want me to go out? Fen Lin never got used to these kinds of people. Don't think that just because he is beautiful, he can do whatever he wants. Sorry, brother, that rolling sound just now was made by my second personality. John Banksy's pretty face once again adopted a very innocent expression. It was as if the personnel was not her. Do you have a second personality? Fen Lin asked lightly. Yes, this is my certificate. John Banksy took out a small notebook with several large golden characters written on it. Certificate of patient with acute transient mental disorder. Fen Lin stared at the certificate. Indeed, there was a certificate for such a mental illness. Out. Suddenly, John Banksy looked gloomy and shouted at Fen Lin. Brother, come here. It's not illegal for someone to hit you. Yeah, stay away from her. He kicked a bald guy and went hit a shot just now. They just took him away in an ambulance. Everyone in the car, everyone to persuade Fen Lin. Many of them came here to travel and wanted to see the real desert. Stay there and take some photos. Unexpectedly, I found this in the car. Fen Lin smiled and said, "Everyone misunderstood, she is my wife." While speaking, Fen Lin also took out his own notebook. However, he simply shook it lightly and did not let anyone see the words on it. "This is the certificate for the guardian of the mentally ill patient." Fen Lin put it in his pocket as he spoke. Only then did everyone around him react, which was strange before. How could a mentally ill person escape alone? "Little brother, you are so strong. Although this woman is beautiful, she has something wrong with her brain. Aren't you afraid that your children will also have something wrong in the future?" said a middle-aged man next to her. "Hey, when we first got married, she was fine, but she suddenly got sick. I wouldn't abandon her anyway." Fen Lin seemed to be dead. "Good man. Yes, if my future husband is like this, I will be satisfied." Many passengers around gave Fen Lin a thumbs up. The driver also looked at Fen Lin, his eyes full of admiration. "Crazy. Who was your wife?" John Banksia punched Fen Lin. Fen Lin grabbed his hand with ease and then Fen Lin was shocked. Divine Kingdom. I didn't expect him to be a teacher. This type of person must have a criminal record and it is normal for them to obtain false evidence. Stop making trouble and stay still, otherwise my husband will teach you a lesson. Fen Lin said coldly. You're paralyzed. I will destroy you. John Banksia was angry. She was mentally ill, but this man still dared to approach her. She directly releases the key in her body. Seeing this, Fen Lin narrowed his eyes and quickly took out 2 thumbtacks from his body. Seal your spiritual veins. After that, Fen Lin took her into his arms, hugged her from behind with his hands, and held her in front of her. Have him sit on your lap. Let go, shameless, I will kill you. John Banksia continued to fight with Fen Lin. Okay, my husband will give you a massage. This is your favorite, okay. Fen Lin sneered in his heart. John Banksia felt his body suddenly tense. This bastard was in front of so many people but for some reason, he couldn't use his key. We can only let Fen Lin take advantage of him. Let me go, he is not my husband. He is not. John Banksia could only ask others for help. Bella, he is your husband, Anne smiled meaningfully, but she didn't expect this mentally ill person to like this. But this is normal, because due to mental illness, there is no psychological pressure, so you can naturally say whatever you want. Girl, you are his wife. Stop causing trouble and kiss your husband, an old woman also said seriously, her words were like coaxing a child. Fuck, John Banksia was so angry that she almost threw my blood. He was about to use the knife when Fen Lin suddenly whispered in his ear. Sit obediently and I'll let you go. Okay. John Banksia nodded immediately. Fen Lin took the opportunity to remove the thumbtack and put it on the seat. Good wife, Fen Lin said with a slight smile. John Banksia's face was gloomy and he wished he could eat Fen Lin. However, this man was a bit evil, so she could only look out the window and give up for the moment. The people around discovered that this woman had really stopped causing trouble and they all marveled at Fen Lin. Fen Lin just looked at John Banksia, who must be a young lady from a big family. She is charming and opinionated, and thinks that ordinary people are not worthy of sitting next to her. This kind of person should teach him a lesson in more disgusting ways. Fen Lin despised this type of woman very much. Whoever marries her in the future will have bad luck for 8 lives. The bus traveled for more than an hour and finally reached its destination. Fen Lin got off the bus first. Bitch. Don't go. John Banksia got out of the car and found that Fen Lin had long disappeared. Fen Lin bought a large straw hat and wandered around Urumqi, where he encountered many ancient warriors. Obviously these people have received the news. This time, there are strong men from the country guarding the door, and it stands to reason that big figures from evil organizations like Jialan will definitely not be able to come. Because they are so famous, they fall into a trap when they come. However, Fen Lin felt that they could send a younger generation of experts. After all, he has no reputation, and the country doesn't know who he is. That little girl just now, isn't she from an evil organization? Fen Lin thought. She was full of bad words and was domineering. He was not a good person at first glance. He decided to look for Kailan here, which was also one of the purposes of coming here. John Banksia searched the station for a long time, but she didn't see Fen Lin. She was so angry that she wanted to blow at the station. In the distance, a black Great Wall car stopped in front of John Banksia. After the back door was opened, a middle-aged man greeted with a smile. Baby, come up. If Fen Lin was here, he must know this middle-aged man. He is the father-in-law who was beaten by Fen Lin before. Zhang Yu of the Zhang family. And John Banksia is John Yu's daughter. John Banksia got into the car angrily, her eyes a little red. An old man with a goatee in the co-pilot saw this and quickly comforted him. What happened to the little princess? Who bullied you? Grandpa Sheeta. Woo, a dead man took advantage of me today. John Banksia covered her face, a low voice choked by sobs. Stop lying to yourself, Grandpa Sheeta. Who dares to bully you? John Yu nodded at John Banksia. Last time you promised me that you would talk to Fen Lin again, you probably didn't find him, right? What? Find him. You have also read the chat history. It's full of bad words and makes you sick, John Banksia said viciously. Do you think Dad doesn't understand cell phones? You deleted all your messages, leaving only Fen Lin's words scolding you. John Yu was a little helpless. Your marriage was arranged by your grandfather himself. I don't know. Be careful. John Banksia took John's arm and shook him vigorously. Dad. I don't want to get married. I want to stay with you all my life. We made an agreement before coming here. If you can get it. A good baby this time, I won't mention it in the future. Wait until your grandfather comes out of confinement and see what he says, John Yu said calmly. Just look, I will definitely get the treasure this time. John Banksia pursed her lips. Chapter 365. Give me a room. Fen Lin walked here for a long time, but did not find Kai Lin. There are still 4 or 5 days left, maybe it hasn't arrived yet. He took out his phone and looked at it. It was already 3 in the afternoon. The weather is hot. Fen Lin planned to find a hotel and ask the 4th and 5th boys to come over in a few days. I found several relatively large hotels here and found that all the high-end rooms were booked. Presumably, those people from the Hidden family came here a long time ago. Boss. Suddenly, a woman's scream came from afar. Fen Lin looked back and saw Yan Yabai, who had short-parted hair, running excitedly. Today he was wearing white casual clothes and still looked elegant. At her side, a young man dressed in a white suit followed her. He had broken hair, was tall and powerful, and seemed distant. Boss, I knew you would come. Yan Yabai smiled and took Fen Lin's arm. Are the 4th brother and 5th sister here? Not yet. I'll send them a message when time is almost up. Fen Lin said with a smile. Yabai, Uncle is still waiting for us. Don't talk to these ungrateful people. A young man approached from afar, with a smile on his lips and a tone full of arrogance. This is my boss, please be respectful. Yan Yabai's face seemed a little cruel. He grabbed Fen Lin's hand and said with a smile. Boss, come with me to meet my second uncle. Fen Lin shook his head. I don't need it. I have other things to do. It's not too late to meet again later. Okay then. Yan Yabai nodded slightly, greeted Fen Lin, and left with the young man. The young man calmly turned his head, looked at Fen Lin, his eyes flashed with a chill, then turned and left. Fen Lin shook his head slightly. The people who came here this time were full of talents. In comparison, the other members of Dead Knight are not as prominent. However, this is normal. The Dead Knight made by Fen Lin was poor and useless. The background of these powerful sects is much higher than theirs. In this extremely unfair situation, it is not easy for the Dead Knight members to overcome them. Fen Lin randomly found a hotel and opened an ordinary standard room. He took shelter from the sun a little inside and, when the sun was no longer so hot, he left for his destination. First go and see who was guarding the door over there. Can you let me open a small stove and go in first to observe the surroundings? Fen Lin put on the straw hat he bought before and left Yuranki and walked 5 kilometers north. In front of him was the endless desert. There are many vehicles not far away, parked at the edge of the desert, taking pictures there. Fen Lin ignored them and continued to run deeper. After walking for more than 10 kilometers, Fen Lin noticed a huge black tent in the distance. There was only a breath in the store. Fen Lin walked over and opened the door of the shop. Suddenly he felt a cool breeze that made him shiver. On the recliner over there, a bald old man was lying eating watermelon. Old Zen. Fen Lin saw the old man and walked over with a smile. This person is Zen Wenwin. We had just met before, when we were sending Jiaworth to the evil spirits. I remembered that Li Pachen and Duanzu were also present. Is he your boy? Zen Wenwin stood up from the recliner, pointed to the watermelon in the distance and said, take it yourself. Don't you mean 5 people? Fen Lin went to get a watermelon and said, we have 5 shifts. Today's mine, Grandma's. I'm very hot. Zen Wenwin touched his bald head and sighed. Were you not satisfied with the air conditioning? Fen Lin said after taking a bite of the watermelon. It's still hot, it's uncomfortably hot. Zen Wenwin shook his head. Fen Lin looked around. Behind Zen Wenwin's chair, there was a dark hole, which should be the entrance to the ruins. He chuckled and said, "Old man, how is our relationship?" "No. Don't try to approach me." The old man has specifically ordered that no one can enter before that. Zhen Wenwen waved his hand. "Hand to Fen Lin." "I can't even do that." Fen Lin pointed to himself. "No. Get out of here." Zhen Wenwen rolled his eyes. "Then I can remember you, right? You must have come in." Fen Lin walked up behind Zhen Wenwen and rubbed his shoulders with a smile. "I only remind you one word." Zhen Wenwen pointed to the water dispenser next to him and said lightly, "Water." "Thank you, old Zhen, for taking the time to invite you to eat." Fen Lin waved goodbye with a smile. There seemed to be an extreme lack of water inside the place. As soon as he left the store, he saw the big two-tailed lolita in the distance. The other party noticed Fen Lin, turned around and ran away. This person is Lian Dai. But how could his speed surpass Fen Lin? Within a few breaths, Fen Lin appeared behind her and grabbed her ponytail with both hands. As he backed up, the brakes were applied. Lian Dai groaned in pain and turned around to bite. Fen Lin immediately let go of her ponytail, took a step back, and said calmly, "You are so brave. The people of Jialand dare to appear here." Today, Lian Dai was still dressed as before. She wears jeans with suspenders, a white shirt, and her signature pair of dark circles under her eyes and bright red lips. "I'm just here on a trip and I'm ready to leave now." Lian Dai crossed his arms and pursed his lips. "Do you still want to lie to me?" Fen Lin remembered that when he asked Lanny to check on Lian Dai, he said that he had no information about her. Obviously, no one except him knew that she was from the Nine Nethers. "This time I came here to try my luck. Can't I just leave?" Lian Dai yelled at Fen Lin, turned around and ran away. But Fen Lin grabbed her ponytail again. "Stop, I have something to ask you. How is Liu Nine now?" "I've kicked her out." When Lian Dai heard this, he immediately turned his head. With his hands on his hips, he said, "The entire Liu family has left the second sect. You're great, aren't you?" Fen Lin hit Lian Dai on the head. "Now it's better, it's even more difficult to find Liu Nine. Do you dare to hit me? I will fight for you." Lian Dai was furious and hit Fen Lin madly. Fen Lin extended his arms and grabbed her forehead. Due to his short arms, Lian Dai was unable to reach Fen Lin. "Forget it, this time I will spare your life." Fen Lin also wanted to use Lian Dai to penetrate the Jialand and learn the secrets of the Jialand. Especially the woman Yu Dan. TCH. Lian Dai spat and left with Fen Lin. I return again to the urban area of Urumqi. Fen Lin took Lian Dai to a barbecue restaurant and planned to ask in detail about Liu Nine. As soon as the two sat down, they noticed a person sitting by the window. He was wearing a gray trench coat with gold lines. He looked at Lian Dai here and raised the corners of his mouth with a smile. The round-faced young man sitting opposite saw this and asked flutteringly, "Master Long, have you fallen in love with that girl?" Master Long nodded gently, with a smile in his eyes. "You know, I like small cars and the best prices between 130,000 and 170,000. Haha, leave it to me, but when the time comes to enter the ruins, please ask Master Long to take care of you." The round-faced youth chuckled. Mr. Long nodded slightly, got up and left, leaving a sentence. "Give me a room." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 366 National GDP per year. Seeing Mr. Long leave, the round-faced man immediately took out his cell phone and sent a message to the teacher at home. His name is Dian Qi and he is a direct descendant of a reclusive family. He has a distinguished status and in his own territory, no matter who he sees, he must be respectful. But this time the ruins are said to belong to an ancient sect. He knew many rumors, and many small people who were unknown at first had opportunities in the ruins of the ancient sects. In just a few years, you will be able to make a name for yourself. Most of the founders of many emerging occult families are like this. As for the original big family, if they have the opportunity, they will be able to reach a higher level. Therefore, many important forces came this time. In comparison, his ordinary and lonely family was simply scum. For example, the man now, named Long Tinao, is a direct descendant of China's top hidden family. The stronger the experience, the more talented the key players will be. Currently only in his 30s, his strength has entered the middle stage of the divine realm. This makes many teachers of the older generation feel embarrassed. Not long after, a middle-aged man in a suit walked up to Dian Qi, bowed and said, "Master. Wait here first." Dian Qi stood up and walked towards Fen Lin. "You could use the things that money solves or all the little things." If the other party does not agree, use force. Fen Lin was chatting with Lian Dai when Dian Qi suddenly sat down next to Lian Dai. Lian Dai frowned slightly, his face full of displeasure. I have someone here. Okay, I'll leave right away. Dian Qi smiled and looked at Lian Dai. She was really pretty. He had long known that Long Tianao liked Luoyi. Intelligent and innocent, with good skin, light body and easy to master, he is full of treasures. Beauty, how old are you? Dian Qi looked at Lian Dai and asked with a smile. You take care of me. Lian Dai said coldly. Looking at you, you are only 14 or 15 years old, right? Dian Qi was not angry at all. He looked at Fen Lin, took out a check from his body, and slapped it in front of Fen Lin. Fen Lin looked down and saw that there were no numbers written on it. I took this woman away. I will return it to you in half a month at most. I will send you a check and fill in the number as you like. Dian Qi said with a proud face. You know, I usually hate people like you who talk too much without capital. Fen Lin looked at the check lightly and smiled. Do you have a pen? I don't want to write too much, just write about our country. GDP of the year. When Lian Dai heard this, he suddenly puffed his mouth angrily. What do you mean? Am I only worth 1 year's GDP? Haha, interesting. Do you have a big appetite? Dian Qi said. With a smile on his lips, in his opinion, the people in front of him were ants. You won't get angry with ants because they can be easily destroyed. You're too pretentious. Why don't you tell me how much it is? You filled it casually, but you didn't receive it after I filled it. Fen Lin stammered as he ate a bunch of kidneys. 2 million. Dian Qi raised 2 fingers. Deal. Fen Lin immediately took out his mobile phone. Transfer the money now. Yuan. Fen Lin, what do you mean? Lian Dai's eyes widened. He stood up from his seat and approached Fen Lin. Pinched Fen Lin's arm. If you are smart, this price can cover a 3rd-level star, not to mention half a month at most. Dian Qi took out his mobile phone with a calm expression and transferred the money to Fen Lin. Can't transfer. Can't transfer. Lian Dai reached out to grab Fen Lin's cell phone. Fen Lin held Lian Dai with one hand and transferred the money to the account with the other. Okay, I'll give you the money and take the person away. Dian Qi stood up and said. Well, it's up to you. I have nothing to do with her anyway. Fen Lin said lightly and continued to eat the barbecue in front of him. After Fen Lin's reminder, Lian Dai finally reacted. Yeah. I have nothing to do with Fen Lin, so why should I go to these people after accepting the money? I was so excited just now. It's really fun. Lian Dai regained his original calm. He sat on the chair next to Fen Lin and said expressionlessly, let me come with you. Why don't you give me money? I will not give it to you. To your boyfriend. You have the money. Dian Qi pointed at Fen Lin and said. Who was my boyfriend? I just met him. Lian Dai looked at Fen Lin. What? Boy, why did you charge me just now? Dian Qi pointed at Fen Lin and shouted, give it to me. You gave it to me, why should you ask me to give it to you? You can eat and drink well, I'm leaving. Fen Lin smiled, spread his hands and stood up from his seat. Stop it. Although Dian Qi was not short of money, he couldn't bear to have someone swindle him of his money. When the middle-aged man who was far away saw this, he immediately stood in front of Fen Lin. Fen Lin raised the corners of his mouth. He was in the middle stage of the master realm. Perhaps Lian Dai, a little girl, could achieve 50/50 success if she tried hard. Just when a few people were stagnant, a woman in white stockings entered the door of the barbecue restaurant. She wears a gothic dress, long hair with bangs, and a wide rabbit-shaped patch over her left eye. This person is Zhang Bangxia. Zhang Bangxia looked here indifferently and immediately focused his attention on Fen Lin. I finally found you. Zhang Bangxia sneered at the corner of his mouth and walked towards Fen Lin step by step. He had thought long before, the reason why he couldn't use Qi was because there was an expert in the car. The vehicle was still moving at the time and the expert feared it was dangerous. If you think about it carefully, there are several elderly men and women sitting in the car, and Garan may be one of them. Dian Qi was surprised. She turned out to be the eldest lady of the Zhang family. Does this big shot know this kid in front of him? His face turned pale, and he immediately winked at his people and mouthed, escape quickly. He himself also lowered his head and left dejected. Stop. Zhang Bangxia stood in front of Dian Qi, crossed his arms and said, did you just want to teach him a lesson? No. Dian Qi could not afford to offend such an important fish. So he quickly denied it. No. So you are his friend? Zhang Bangxia asked coldly. Yes. We are good brothers. I just transferred 2 million pocket money to my brother. There is a record here. Diane Key smiled immediately. Boom. John Banksia kicked Diane Key in the stomach. This kid offended me. Since you are his brother, I will beat you up. What? Miss, this boy is my enemy too. I was afraid he was your friend just now. That's what you said. Diane Key pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. Really? Then teach him a lesson. John Banksia crossed his arms and looked at Fen Lin coldly. Fen Lin hid behind Lian Dai and grabbed her ponytails from behind. Beauty, please give me some face. I will treat you to a barbecue. Come on. Diane Key looked at his family master. Lian Dai hit Fen Lin's stomach with his elbow and then took out the dagger from his body. In an instant, he appeared behind Diane Key and put the dagger to her neck. Stop. Lian Dai said coldly. When the teacher saw this, he stopped immediately. It turns out that this little girl is also an expert. Lian Dai retreated towards the door little by little, grimaced at Fen Lin, turned around and ran away. She didn't care if Fen Lin lived or died, she deserved to be taught a lesson and let him bully her. Chapter 367 You are the only one who feels sorry for your brother. Are you sure you want to leave? Fen Lin shouted at Lian Dai in the distance, can you come in without me? This sentence seemed confusing to the others. But Lian Dai clearly knew what Fen Lin was talking about. That is entering the ruins. In fact, it is good, as long as Fen Lin tells the Ouijian level master that he is from Jialand. Let alone enter the ruins to find treasures, it is not certain that they can escape. As long as Fen Lin did not reveal his identity, it would still be easy to sneak in. Thinking of this, Lian Dai, who was about to escape, ran back in a hurry. Haha, I didn't want to leave, I didn't want to leave. Lian Dai stood in front of Fen Lin again, looking around with cold eyes. Whoever dares to touch my friend, I will destroy him. I'll kill you. Girl, you have such a strong tone. John Banksia took a few steps forward. When Diane Key next to him saw this situation, he immediately retreated silently. He heard that the little princess of the Zhang family had a volatile temperament and was not easy to understand. Unlike Mr. Long, as long as you flatter him, you'll be fine. Realizing that John Banksia's thoughts had been on Fen Lin, he retreated to the door and ran away. Lian Dai watched John Banksia in front of her and always felt that he had very powerful strength. This person is certainly not simple. Fen Lin sat back in his seat, took out his mobile phone, and said calmly, if you dare to touch me, I will call the police. Don't worry, I won't touch you. John Banksia directly. He attacked him with Ki. Hataro muttered to himself. I must teach you an unforgettable lesson today. Are you coming alone? Fen Lin suddenly looked at Lian Dai. Didn't you bring any experts with you? No. Lian Dai shook his head. Forget it, it's really troublesome. Fen Lin glanced at John Banksia lightly and could only teach him a lesson. He suddenly held Lian Dai in his arms and his figure disappeared here in the blink of an eye. Lian Dai's eyes narrowed into a thin line and she immediately followed him. Fen Lin walked down several paths and came to a dead end. He placed Lian Dai in his arms on the ground. After a few breaths, John Banksia continued. He is indeed a master. Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. Then you dare to follow me. Did I forget that you can't use Ki in the car? Do you? John Banksia was surprised and asked in a deep voice. Of course I did. I'm not interested in middle-class girls like you. If you persist in your obsession, I will teach you a more severe lesson. Fen Lin smiled, put his arm around Lian Dai's shoulders and looked at John Banksia. Are you scaring your mother? John Banksia's eyes suddenly lighted up and he rushed towards Fen Lin. Divine Aperture Realm. Lian Dai's expression changed, he couldn't beat this and immediately hid behind Fen Lin. The key that originally exploded suddenly disappeared at this moment. That's it. John Banksia looked at the black thumbtacks on her body. Just as she was about to take them off, Fen Lin grabbed her hands hard. Fen Lin pressed her, grabbed her wrists with both hands, and controlled her easily. John Banksia couldn't believe that he was in the divine realm and was subdued by this person in front of him. How could it be? This man Lian Dai next to him also nodded secretly. He was worthy of being a doctor of death. He was simply crushing these young masters. Fen Lin lowered his head and faced John Banksia. I reminded you just now, guess what I will do to you? Boy, do you know who I am? You better kill me, otherwise, you're dead. Got it. John Banksia looked at Fen Lin coldly. I definitely won't kill you. The person in front of him was not a murderer and had no intention of taking his own life. Fen Lin would not deal with duking you like he did when he met her. Lian Dai, record the video with your phone. Fen Lin suddenly looked at Lian Dai next to him. Lian Dai nodded. Only Fen Lin could take her in now, so she naturally followed Fen Lin's advice. Fen Lin lowered his head, looked at the pretty face nearby, and said with a smile, "Now, you're the only one who loves your brother and wants to give him a child. You're dreaming." John Banksia had a cold expression on his face, not showing any fear. "You're not going to tell me, are you?" "Okay." Fen Lin suddenly opened his mouth slightly and saliva slowly overflowed. "I have a problem. I tend to drool when I meet beautiful women." More and more saliva was collecting around Feng. Lin's mouth looked like it was about to fall. But below is John Banksia's pretty face. Her face was pale as paper and she turned her head desperately, trying to avoid him. But Fen Lin's head followed closely, facing her face. Seeing that it was about to fall on his face, he immediately shouted, "Stop. I said, duh." Because John Banksia ends with the word "ah." When you say this word, you must open your mouth. At this moment, Fen Lin couldn't control himself and fell directly into his mouth. The atmosphere suddenly solidified. The three people here did not say a word. Fen Lin was a little embarrassed and reprimanded. "It's all your fault. If you didn't tell me before, I wasn't sure." "Damn. Drink, duh. John Banksia spat at Feng. Lin spat in Fen Lin's face. His eyes were red and he looked like he was going to die with Fen Lin. Too disgusting. Fen Lin lowered his head, rubbed his face directly in front of John Banksia, and wiped his face. At this moment, Fen Lin's cell phone rang. "Stop recording, control your hands." Fen Lin looked at Lianda next to him. Lianda nodded, put away the phone, and held John Banksia's wrist with both hands. Now that John Banksia can't use key, he is naturally no match for Lianda. Fen Lin freed his hands, took out his cell phone and looked at it. It turned out to be John Yu's call. If he didn't call himself, Fen Lin would forget about this person. However, out of courtesy, he answered the call. "Haha, nephew Fen Lin, were you coming to the desert ruins of Tinshan province this time?" Zhang Yu's voice came. In fact, he had been waiting for Fen Lin. "I want to give you the opportunity to meet your daughter." It was originally quiet here and John Banksia was in the divine realm. The enhancement of the senses has nothing to do with ki. Then he clearly heard his father's voice on the phone. She was confused. Could this bastard be her fiancé? The person who scolded me on WeChat last time. I should be able to go, what's wrong? Fen Lin asked with a smile. "I want you to meet my daughter." Zhang Yu sounded a little regretful. "I know my daughter's temper. She must have made you angry last time." "I'm not mad, but there's something I think I still need to tell you." "You?" Fen Lin said on the phone. "I talked to your daughter last time and she said that she didn't like me and didn't agree to get married. Later, my father found me a partner." "What?" Zhang Yu's voice a few decibels higher. "It's true. That person likes me and I also have feelings for them. We will get married soon." Fen Lin blamed the foul-mouthed woman. If she despises herself and decides to break off the engagement, it is her business. It has nothing to do with yourself. Chapter 368 Extremely Cruel. "Fen Lin, your marriage was decided by your parents in person. My father even made it public directly. My daughter has a fiancé and I don't know how many young talents she has rejected." Zhang Yu disagreed. Fen Lin was so young and his strength was even greater, surpass him. The future is unlimited. After what happened last time, he specifically asked Lanny about Fen Lin's personality. I learned that Fen Lin was a good man, unlike young masters from large families. This is simply the best option. "Man, I'm sorry. I think your daughter can find a better family." Fen Lin began to pretend to be a victim and said apologetically, "It's also my fault. Your daughter said I wasn't worthy, so I didn't do it." "Okay. Let's do this for now. If you come to Tinshan, call me and we'll chat in person." After Zhang Yu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Fen Lin put away his phone and took a deep breath. "Forget it, I'm not in the mood to make trouble for you. If you dare to make trouble with me again, I will post the video of you eating my saliva." Fen Lin stood up and took the thumbtacks away from Zhang Banksia. Zhang Banksia's face was gloomy and he asked sharply, "Do you know Zhang Yu?" "Yeah." Fen Lin nodded. The person in front of him was at the divine orifice realm, so he could naturally hear the voice on the phone. "So, do you know John Banksia?" John Banksia asked calmly. "I don't know each other, we just chatted a few times." Fen Lin was not surprised. The younger generation of these powerful families must be known. "I heard that she has a fiancé. It should be you, right?" John Banksia asked calmly. "What is your relationship with her?" Fen Lin asked. "It's just a simple acquaintance, we haven't talked much." John Banksia looked at Lin next to him. Is she a current partner? I'm not. Who would marry this bastard? Lin glared at him fiercely. Looking at Fen Lin, I helped him with something because I asked him for help. My partner is at home, he is gentle and obedient, and he is also big. Fen Lin pursed his lips. I would only get married. John Banksia if she was crazy. A woman who was full of bad words. John Banksia's right eye gradually narrowed into a line. Then what if John Banksia mismarry you? She can't do it, you know. This the type of woman is the most clueless. I can easily make her hate me. Fen Lin suddenly asked. By the way, I don't know what it looks like. Is it beautiful? Is it big? Very beautiful. Size-wise, it should be average. When John Banksia said this, he straightened up slightly. No matter what he said, he was at the realm of B average. He is really extremely cruel. The smaller and poorer he is, the worse he is, Fen Lin said coldly. What the hell and John Banksia was so angry that she seemed to be in a dilemma. Not marrying him is just what she wants. Marry him and put him in trouble all day, but you'll end up getting involved. He decided to think of a foolproof solution. I'm leaving. John Banksia left alone. He couldn't be with Fen Lin. If he met someone he knew and called her by her name, wouldn't he be exposed? Now that Fen Lin doesn't know his identity, he can do many things in the dark. When Fen Lin saw John Banksia leave, he took Lian's cell phone and sent the video to himself. Fen Lin then deleted the video on his phone and handed it to Lian. You should also go back. Don't think I don't know. There must be a master around you this time. It is abnormal for a big shot like Lian and the Nine Nevers to not have a master to protect him. Then can I come in? Lian raised his head and asked. Fen Lin nodded. Okay, but you must follow me before entering. Lian jumped up with a smile, picked up the phone and left. Fen Lin put his hands in his pants pockets and took advantage of these days to prepare to continue practicing his skills. After 3 or 4 days of hard work, Fen Lin became more and more proficient. Tomorrow is the day the ruins will be opened. Fen Lin sent a message to Sakam Jin and Jin Guji Akahui, signaling them to come closer. In the past few days, many ancient warriors have gathered in the small black market. Fen Lin searched for a while, but did not find Kai Lin. It seems that as the second master said, she dare not come. Fen Lin also started to do his own business. He went to the supermarket and bought a large walking bag. Fill it with mineral water. I bought another small backpack and filled it with mineral water. After that, he went to the hotel and waited patiently. While waiting until nightfall, Fen Lin received the location sharing from the cell phone. After a while, Sakam Jin and Jin Guji jumped into the room from the window. There are many masters this time, so I better be careful. Fen Lin looked at the two of them and said, Why did you buy so much water? Sakam Jin asked, looking at the mineral water on the ground. I don't know what the situation is, but the truth is that there must be a lack of water in the ruins. Fen Lin handed a small black backpack to Sakam Jin. Fourth, this is yours. Jin Guji, since he has to carry weapons, always carries a guitar case. Fen Lin also filled his guitar bag with mineral water. The three of them huddled together in a small room all night. Early the next morning, the three ran together towards their destination. During this period, Fen Lin asked Sakam Jin and Jin Guji to wear their special masks. The three arrived at the location and found that a large number of people had gathered around them. Almost all of them were teachers. Fen Lin. Lian had been waiting here for a long time. When he found Fen Lin come in, he walked over with an old man at his side. Fen Lin looked at Lian and only nodded slightly. Boss. Suddenly, Yan Yubai screamed in the distance and ran to hug Fen Lin. He then smiled and greeted Sakam Jin and Jin Guji. Originally, everyone here was talking in a low voice, waiting for the ruins to open. Hearing Yan Yubai's voice, everyone looked here. When he saw Yan Yubai take the initiative to hug Fen Lin, he even called him boss. Everyone around him was shocked. What happened? Did the little princess of the Ant family really call this young boss? I heard a long time ago that Yan Yubai left home early and formed a small group of his own. I didn't expect him to be with these people. Everyone around them there was a lot of discussion, and everyone knew that the members of Dead Knight were all secret. Most people don't know it. John Banksia looked at Fen Lin from a distance and narrowed her eyes. Is Yan Yubai your partner? This time, there was only one old man next to him. That's your grandfather's stone. Originally, his father wanted to go, but was stopped by John Banksia. If he comes, his identity will be exposed. Young Master Long, that's him. In the distance, Dian Qi was holding an umbrella and pointing at Fen Lin. Haha, I don't need to act. Long Tina stood with his hands folded and looked away. Sure enough, a tall man with broken hair approached without any expression. This person is the man who was with Yan Yuanbai before. Johnny. Not only Long Ti now, but also everyone else looked at this side with interest. Everyone knows that the Zhang family and the Yan family are family friends. Johnny has been in love with Yan Yuanbai since he was a child. Chapter 369 Mysterious Forest. Johnny walked up to Fen Lin and introduced himself expressionlessly. My name is Johnny. What is your relationship with Spy? As you can see, I am his boss. Fen Lin shrugged with a smile. You can follow me to the ruins later, Johnny said with a proud expression. When everyone around heard this, many people showed envious expressions. Johnny did this, obviously preparing to bribe Fen Lin. As long as he is with the master of the Zhang family, Johnny will always let him have a sip of soup. As for the face, who cares? Getting the treasure is a real thing. Fen Lin asked with a smile. If we find a treasure at the same time, whose treasure is it? When everyone heard this, they all shook their heads. This emotional intelligence is really low. They are responsible for protecting you, but you still steal their treasures. It seems that you have your own plans, Zhang said lightly, then looked at Yan Yuanbai. Bai, let's go back. Boss, should I follow you? Yan Yuanbai asked with a smile. No, we are going to split up. This way we have a higher chance of finding the treasure. It will be safer for you to follow your people. Fen Lin shook his head and replied. Okay then. Yan Yuanbai nodded and had no choice but to leave. At this moment, an old man walked out of the black tent in the distance. He was wearing a black tank suit, with crispy hair and wrinkles on his face. Fen Lin didn't know this person. Although the number of people in Wujin is not large, it is definitely a lot. Fen Lin did not admit it. Everyone is welcome to enter. The interior is very dangerous. From the moment you enter the ruins, your life or death has nothing to do with us. After the old man finished speaking, he opened the shop. The people looking around immediately lined up and walked in. Fen Lin also looked at Sakam Jin and Jin Guojiqiu next to him. Follow me first. They both nodded. Fen Lin, I just wanted to ask, what's in your hiking bag? Lian Dai asked strangely. I heard that the ruins are very big. I brought food and drink in case something unexpected happens, Fen Lin explained calmly. Haha, buddy, you're not going on a trip, are you? A young man couldn't help but laugh. The powerful man at the Wujin level has just made it very clear that the life and death inside has nothing to do with them. It shows that it is possible to kill people in the ruins. This is normal, the fight for treasures is always accompanied by fighting and killing. In fact, he brought so much food, he was very generous. Fen Lin ignored the young man and followed the others into the dark cave. Several people continued walking inside and suddenly noticed a bright light in the distance. As you continue deeper, this path of the small intestine becomes increasingly wider. Finally, some people reached an oasis and could see the sky getting hotter. Lian Dai's expression did not change at all. On the contrary, most of the people in the distance were shocked. How is this possible? It's obviously a cave, so why is there sky inside? Didn't we travel back in time? Fen Lin pursed his lips, a group of adherent guys. Generally, the ruins of ancient sects of formations set up by legendary alchemists. The most famous is Zhu Fu, the immortal, who was an alchemist of the Qing dynasty. Tao Yuanman's Peach Blossom Spring also records that some people live and work contentedly in training. To build this kind of secret formation, the terrain is very important. The popular understanding is to look at Feng Shui, and the perfect terrain is a basin. As long as you use the formation to build a lid to cover the basin, outsiders will not be able to find it. Many of the top forces now live in formations left over from ancient sects. The profession of alchemist became extinct long ago. No one can build a formation now. There are too many mysteries in the formation, such as this lid that clearly seals the basin. But standing in the basin and looking up, you can see the sky, which is no different from the outside world. Even rain falls on the basin. But from the outside, except for the exit behind, you can't see the basin at all. Boss, what should we do next? Jinguji Abgade asked from the side. Follow me first. Fen Lin looked into the distance. This place was obviously an oasis and it wasn't that hot. Why did Zhen Wenwen ask him to bring water? I needed another look. Fen Lin, should I follow you too? Lian Dai asked strangely. No, you are free now. Fen Lin waved his hand at Lian Dai. Lian Dai looked a little surprised. Fen Lin let him go so easily. Was there some conspiracy? However, the old man next to him was the evil spirit of the Seventh Land. He has never revealed in public that he is from the Nine Netherlands. With him by your side, you should be safe. Thinking of this, Lian Dai and the old man next to him quickly left. She didn't want to stay with Fen Lin either. In this case, Fen Lin will definitely take away the treasure he finds. It is more convenient to act alone. Let's continue. Fen Lin looked into the distance. There was a huge forest in front of him. The color is dark green, very intense. Almost everyone ran into the forest. Fen Lin and others also arrived in the forest. The trees here towered into the clouds and their branches and leaves were lush. It was clearly morning, and as I entered the forest, I felt the light falling and the leaves covering the sky. Fen Lin looked up a little strangely. The big trees here were too tall. Totally incompatible with the desert environment. He took out his dagger and made a mark on the branch of a large tree, like the common trees in the outside world. Fen Lin grabbed the branch and jumped, tore off a leaf and stuffed it into his mouth. After chewing forcefully a few times, Fen Lin spat it out. What's wrong? Jinguji Abgade asked from the side. Grandpa, it's fake, Fen Lin said in a deep voice. At the very least, it seems like we have entered a new formation. Have you noticed that since we entered this forest, we can't seem to hear anything else? The human voice is gone, Sikam Jin warned. Not bad. Fen Lin's eyes narrowed slightly. His hearing in the divine realm was far beyond that of ordinary people. With so many people coming in, it was impossible not to hear any sound. Boss, why don't we go out first? Jinguji Abgadu felt something was wrong. He had never encountered such a situation. Okay. Fen Lin nodded. They turned around and left the forest. But as they moved, the ground turned and the forest directly in front of them turned towards the backs of Fen Lin and others. Boss. Jinguji Kyuhyue was so scared that she hugged Fen's arm. Lin. Don't be nervous. We should be lucky to be at the edge of the formation now, Fen Lin said lightly. Those who have gone deeper into it may not have discovered it yet. He took out his cell phone, turned on the compass, and found that the compass was still spinning in circles. It was impossible to determine the direction at all. Fen Lin thought for a moment, jumped onto the tree and cut off a few straight branches. He placed the branches in a straight line and spread them out of the forest. When he looked back, he found that the branches I placed curved or straight? Fen Lin asked. Straight, Jinguji Ab replied without thinking. A slight smile. Chapter 307 The Exchange with Treasure. Fen Lin looked at Jinguji Abgadu and waved at her. Take a few steps forward. All right. Jinguji Abgadu followed Fen Lin's instructions and walked a few steps forward. She looked back and asked in surprise, why is it bent? Actually, it is not folded, it is just the formation that affects our senses. Fen Lin did not have time to study the secret of this formation. Because he has an easier way. Boss, what should we do? Jinguji Abgadu asked. This method of mine can only be used at the entrance. Fen Lin's figure flashed here, and in a few breaths, he appeared outside the forest. Boss, how did you come out? Of surprise. We are at the entrance of the formation. We have walked up to 5 meters. As long as we are in the center of the circle and moving a straight line in all directions, we can always find the exit. After Fen Lin's reminder, Sikam Jin and Jinguji Kyuhyue, both people, also used the same method to leave the forest. What should we do? The formation entry method works, but it won't work if you go deeper. Sikam Jin looked at Fen Lin and whispered. It only affects the senses inside the formation. Outside the formation, it has no effect. Fen Lin took out the compass from his phone and now returned to normal. Understood. Sikam Jin nodded slightly and took out a tracker from his body. After several people established the connection, Sikam Jin buried her in the ground not far away. The three of them entered again and clicked on the coordinates on their phones. Regardless of the surrounding environment, I simply looked at the coordinates and walked out very easily. Okay, let's separate. We must save water. It will definitely be useful. Fen Lin looked at the two of them. Okay. Sikam Jin and Jinguji Kyuhyue nodded at the same time and disappeared. Fen Lin slowly walked towards the depths and now they could easily get out. Even if these people can find the treasure, they still have to find a way to take it out. Suddenly, Fen Lin felt a distant aura. Sure enough, there was a group of people more than 10 meters away. Fen Lin knew one of the round-faced youth. Dian Ki, who started at the barbecue restaurant. With him was a young man wearing a grey windbreaker with a golden dragon pattern. There were 4 people around him. There was only one old man among them, and Fen Lin felt that he was a threat. Master Long. It's him. Dian Ki pointed to the approaching Fen Lin and whispered. Long Tinao's eyes narrowed into a thin line. He calmly walked towards Fen Lin and said with a smile, Let me introduce myself. My name is Long Tinao. Haha, what a good name, Fen Lin laughed. Do you think it's vulgar? But this year I am 32 years old and my name was still very attractive back then. Long Tina spread his hands, pointed to the hiking bag behind Fen Lin and said, "Give me this is mine, why should I let you see him?" Fen Lin shrugged with a smile. "Why?" "Just because I doubt there's a treasure in your bag." Long Tina's eyes faintly flashed with golden light and his expression gradually darkened. Dian Qi, who was in the distance, was suddenly surprised. Could it be that Fen Lin deliberately brought so many things to deceive others? Babies are not necessarily small things. If they are big things, Fen Lin can put them in a hiking bag. The outsiders thought it was food and wouldn't care. In the end, he could easily leave with the baby. "Who do you think you are?" Fen Lin sneered. "I haven't checked your treasure yet. How dare you check me? How dare you? Brat, do you know who you're talking to?" Dian Qi was in the distance. He shouted, "Go ahead and kill him." Swish. Dian Qi picked up the two middle-aged men next to him and immediately attacked Fen Lin. Fen Lin hesitated for a moment, but he didn't kill anyone and also hoped that these people would help him find the treasure. Thinking of this, Fen Lin immediately jumped to the top of the tree and fled far away. Dian Qi pointed in the direction where Fen Lin escaped and shouted, "There's no need." Long Tina now looked indifferent. "Don't be influenced by outsiders, we will meet again sooner or later." Fen Lin stepped on the branches and walked through the forest. I found that this forest is really big. Fen Lin walked for several hours, but other than Long Tina and his group, he had not met anyone else yet. Before I knew it, it was already noon. The surrounding temperature suddenly rose, like a huge steam furnace. It's just a high temperature, that's nothing. The most important thing is that the air is extremely dry. There seemed to be no humidity at all and just breathing made my windpipe feel hot, like I had inhaled a heat wave. Suddenly, Fen Lin saw a group of people in the distance. He quickly jumped to the top of the tree and hid among the leaves. In the distance there is a small group of 5 people. 2 young people and 3 middle-aged people. Fen Lin listened to their conversation. "Grandpa, it's so hot. I feel like my throat is dry. I should have known I would have brought water here. It's okay. We have plenty of time anyway. Let's go out and buy some water before we go back." That's right, finding treasures all depends on luck. It's not that whoever stays here the longest will be able to find it. These people were talking and laughing, but they didn't know the seriousness of the matter. Fen Lin took a bottle of mineral water, took a big gulp to moisten his throat, and continued to go deeper. Now if they want to drink water, they can only exchange it with their treasure. As for Long Tina and others before, the baby is not good enough and even urinating on it is considered a compliment. After another half hour, Fen Lin discovered a huge stone palace located deep in the forest. He immediately fell from the treetops and jumped into the palace from the window. The interior of the palace is very luxurious and seems to have once been the residence of important people. But the place is very messy and there's a skeleton in the chair in the distance. In a corner, there was a young man lying, holding his throat and rolling on the floor, with an expression of pain. Seeing Fen Lin enter, he seemed to find hope and shouted in a hoarse voice, "Water, water. I feel like smoke is coming out of my throat." Fen Lin observed the young man carefully. Before entering, he sneered at Fen Lin, "He is a young man who comes here to travel. Please, you have food in your bag, so there must be water, right?" The young man knelt down and bowed to Fen Lin. "I don't have much water. I only have half a bottle left." Fen Lin took out the half bottle of mineral water he had left. When the young man saw the mineral water, he ran towards Fen Lin like crazy. Fen Lin took a step back. "I can give you water in exchange for my treasure." "Baby, I don't have any treasure. I can give you money, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. The young man screamed at the top of his lungs. "I'm sorry, who are the people who come here is short on money. I think you have discovered that this is a maze and there's no way out." Fen Lin shook his half bottle of mineral water, a bottle of mineral water. "Water costs 1 yuan. Now you can save lives." After saying that, Fen Lin turned and left. "Wait a moment." The young man gritted his teeth and took out a dagger from his body. "This is our family, brother. I don't want to waste my time with you. Take off everything on your body and let me check it." Fen Lin looked at the young man in front of him. "You only have 3 seconds to think about it." "I'll take them off." The young man had no choice but to take off all his clothes and hand them to Fen Lin. Fen Lin looked at the young man's left index finger and said, "Take off the ring too. Don't leave anything on your body." The young man instinctively covered the ring with a gloomy expression on his face. Chapter 371 Good Things. When Fen Lin saw this, a smile gradually appeared on his face. "Brother, if you give it to me, I may not notice it, but now it's better. I'm very interested in this ring." Fen Lin stared at the black ring, which had many strange lines. "This ring is inherited from my family. It is an heirloom left by my grandfather. It has no collection value. It has been with me for many years. As the young man spoke, he took off the ring and put it on. Close. Fen Lin stared at the young man's fingers. He was lying. If you wear a ring for a long time, the skin color there will definitely be different from other places. But the colors of this man's fingers were all the same. Obviously, this ring has just been obtained. Fen Lin lowered his head to pick up the ring and caressed it gently. Then, with surprise on his face, he said, "Good boy, a space ring." He once heard the second master say that a space ring is a powerful alchemist who carved a fold in the ring formation of space. Items can be stored inside. After injecting key into the ring, Fen Lin saw a small space of 1 cubic meter appear in front of him. Inside are some elixirs and wine. He tried to pour the mineral water and the bottle he had in his hand disappeared. Fen Lin touched the ring again and took out half a bottle of mineral water. The eyes of the young man sitting on the ground became colder. He didn't expect that this kid would still find such a legendary treasure. We must find a way to kill him. Okay, I'll keep my word. I'll give you this bottle of water. Fen Lin handed the half bottle of mineral water to the young man and put the ring on his index finger with a smile. If he could get such a treasure, Fen Lin could return directly, because he felt that the remaining things would definitely not be as good as this treasure. The space ring is really convenient. In the future, weapons, masks, silver needles and other things can be put in it. Especially for firearms, it is much more convenient to go through security. When the young man saw the mineral water, he immediately opened it and took a sip. The dry throat gradually returned to normal after passing through the water. The young man's expression also calmed down. He drank the water in a few breaths, and then said helplessly, "Hey, this ring was really inherited by my ancestors. Brother, can you give it to me? I will exchange it for a better treasure." Fen Lin's eyes lit up. "What is it?" "Near the skeleton over there. It's too big for me to move alone." The young man pointed to the depths of the palace and said, while bowing himself, and pretended to wear them. Fen Lin looked at the skeleton in the depths and immediately approached. At this moment, the young man's eyes turned cold. He took out a dagger from his pants pocket and threw it forcefully at the back of the man's neck. Fen Lin bullet. Fen Lin didn't look back, he just used the light and dark energy resonance to fly the dagger. He turned and looked at the young man expressionlessly. "Do you know? I like to be passive. Thank you for giving me a reason to kill you." Resonance. "You are actually a master." The young man paled in fear, immediately knelt on the ground. "Spare my life, brush." Fen Lin's figure flashed, a straight red line appeared on the neck of the young man and then blood gushed out. He looked at Fen Lin in disbelief and fell to the ground with a plop. Fen Lin looked at the corpse indifferently. If someone knew about such a precious thing, I don't know how many experts would miss it. Then the easiest way is to kill. However, Fen Lin also had professional ethics and resisted taking action. Unexpectedly, he took action first, which was exactly what Fen Lin wanted. Using the holy ashku to decompose the man, Fen Lin looked through of his clothes and found no other good things. He used ki to evaporate all his clothes. Now, no one knows that Fen Lin killed him and snatched the space ring. He opened the hiking bag on his back and put most of the water in the space ring, leaving only 5 bottles. Fen Lin will give the people here some hunger marketing. The less water there is, the more willing others will be to exchange their treasures for it. He entered the palace and discovered that the skeleton's index finger was broken and fell to the ground. Apparently the ring was originally on the skeleton's finger, picked up by the young man. After searching carefully, I found that there were only some rotten books and no other good things. Fen Lin was ready to retreat. As soon as he left the palace, he felt a terrifying wave of heat. He immediately took out the mineral water, poured it on his head very luxuriously, and washed his face at the same time. After that, he continued to run deeper. Suddenly, he discovered that the ground in the distance was shaking violently and a very powerful ki was raging. He ran immediately. Hidden in the tree tops, he discovered that it was Zhang Yi and his group. But Yan Yuanbai is not here. Shit. Keep going. I don't think we can destroy this entire forest and still not be able to get out. Zhang Yi pointed to the treetops and shouted. Boom. Boom. He and the teachers around him were cutting down trees. Suddenly, an old man turned around and said sternly, "Young master. Look." Zhang Yi quickly turned around and found that the big tree that had just been destroyed had been restored. Fen Lin hid among the trees and couldn't help but laugh. These trees were originally fake. It's just an illusion. Who? Suddenly, an old man with a hooked nose looked towards Fen Lin. Brush. His body jumped suddenly. His entire body was covered in blue light and he appeared in front of Fen Lin in the blink of an eye. So fast. At least until the middle stage, Fen Lin exclaimed and immediately walked away, landing next to Johnny. It's you. Johnny's lips were a little chapped, and he was suddenly surprised. You bought food, so do you have water? When he heard the water, the faces of everyone around him lit up and Fen Lin surrounded. Yes, I have water, but not much. Fen Lin took off his hiking bag and did not open it. He simply pressed it with his hand. There are probably 4 or 5 bottles left. Give it to me quickly. Wait until I come out. I will appreciate it very much. Johnny held out his hand to Fen Lin. You can give me some water, darling. Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. Old Wang. Kill him. Johnny had no time to waste on Fen Lin, and now that Yan Yuebai was not here, no one knew who did it. Fen Lin smiled lightly and quickly ran away. It has only been a few hours and the experts above the sect level can still resist. After a while, Fen Lin made sure that everyone would call him Dad. Chase. Johnny roared angrily, his voice hoarse. Water is now the treasure. Fen Lin turned around and found that the man still dared to follow him. He continued to move through the forest. Mr. Wang behind him looked back and saw that Johnny had disappeared. After hesitating for a moment, he could only return to where he was. The most important thing here was to protect the young master's safety. Fen Lin looked back and saw that he was retreating, so he stopped. It's very hot. It seems like you can't exercise much here. Fen Lin wiped the sweat from his forehead and drank another half bottle of water. At this moment, he noticed many smells in the distance, as if they were all gathered together. He ran immediately and was finally able to sell his water. On the other hand, Lian Dai's little face turned red. If there weren't too many people, he would have liked to go shirtless. Chapter 372. I'd been a little angry lately. Along with Lian Dai, there was also the evil spirit of the 7th land by his side. Besides them, there were a dozen people. All these people are hiding in a ruined stone palace. John Banxia is also here. She has tied up her long hair and it is too hot. He looked at the old man outside, who was closing his eyes and drawing straight lines with a branch. Grandpa Shida, come here and rest for a while. John Banxia's voice was a little hoarse. I'm fine, I can still bear it. Shida looked at the marks on the ground. He knew that what he drew was a straight line, but when he opened his eyes, he found that it was a zigzag line. Apparently his senses were deceived. But the thing is that blinded senses are random, as if there were no rules. Mr. Zhang, let's go. Staying here is not an option. Lian Dai stood up from the ground. He was going to find Fen Lin. He remembered that he had bought many things. There must be water in it. The 7th place was nicknamed Shanghong. He looked at the rocks in the distance and nodded slightly. He had heard of the old man's name, nicknamed Shida, but no one knew his real name. Many years ago, he entered the terrifying temperament realm and joined the Zhang family. This is the strength of Earth Sect Master Jiao. Hardened penetration. Penetration is the penetration of the meridians, and Qi itself can come out from all the pores of the body. Therefore, for outsiders, light envelops the body. The realm of tempering uses Qi to refine the body. Entering this realm, the strength of the body is beyond imagination. With this person around, Shanghong did not dare to do anything unnecessary, so it was better to leave. Come out, you've been hiding for long enough. Shida looked at the treetops in the distance and said calmly. After his reminder, everyone inside the palace looked in the direction of the stone. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows. The reason why he didn't come out immediately was because he was afraid of the old man with the goatee. This man's aura was similar to that of Wang Hei's who Fen Lin fought last time. He was afraid that this old man would take away his water and ruin his plan. However, now that the other party found out, he had no choice but to jump. Fen Lin. When Lian Dai saw Fen Lin, her ponytails almost stood up in excitement. He stood up suddenly and ran towards Fen Lin. Give me water quickly. Give me water. Shida looked stunned and noticed the hiking back behind Fen Lin, and took a step forward. There were vibrations in the air everywhere. Oh! Stone's figure appeared in front of Fen Lin in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, Shanghong ran towards Lian Dai and stood in front of her, fearing that the stone would be harmful to Lian Dai. Haha, young man, you should drink some water, right? Shida smiled slightly. That's right, but it's a pity that the water belt is missing. Fen Lin took off his hiking bag and pressed it with his hand. There's a lot. Shida looked at the approximate volume, and there should be 4 or 5 bottles of mineral water. John Banxia, who was in the distance, also approached and felt like smoke was coming out of his throat. Fen Lin, give me a bottle of water. I will thank you when I come out. John Banxia stretched out his hand in a hoarse voice. Fen Lin. She stroked his goatee, as if he had heard this name somewhere. No, that's all I have in total. I also want to exchange water for treasures, Fen Lin said to John Banksia. If you want water, you can exchange it for treasures. I have given you face, John Banksia shouted coldly. Grandpa Sheeta, grab the water for me. All right. Sheeta looked at Fen Lin, suddenly walked towards Fen Lin and reached out to grab Fen Lin's backpack. Boom. With a loud noise, Fen Lin stood behind John Banksia, seeming to tell him that Fen Lin had the ability to kill John Banksia in front of him. That. Sheeta's expression changed and he exclaimed, "It's so fast." Fen Lin took out the mineral water from his backpack, opened it, stepped back suddenly, and appeared in front of Li and I. Pour water directly into your mouth. The rest was poured over his head. Just come and drink it. I wasted the water and won't let you have a sip. Fen Lin looked at John Banksia with an indifferent expression. I haven't drunk enough yet. Li and I's throat finally recovered after being moistened by the water. When Sheeta saw this, he immediately looked at John Banksia, waiting for his order. The corners of John Banksia's mouth twitched a few times, but he didn't expect Fen Lin to be so powerful. After finishing a bottle of mineral water, Fen Lin picked up another bottle and looked at the people behind him. Brothers and sisters, sell a bottle of mineral water. Handsome boy, this is a bottle of elixir that I found in the palace. I also don't know what it is, can I exchange it for another bottle? A young man took out a small bottle filled with patina from his body. Open, Fen Lin said to the young man. The young man opened the bottle and took out a dark pill. Fen Lin walked over and sniffed it gently. It smelled of various medicinal materials, but he didn't know. Put it in and give it to me. Fen Lin nodded and handed him the bottle of mineral water. The young man and Fen Lin worked hand in hand and handed over the good shit. The water is finally here. The young man couldn't wait to take a sip. Brother, give me some. A young girl knocked the young man down. Don't swallow it, keep it in your mouth. The older ones will take one bite at a time, she warned. The young man seeing this, the remaining people around him swallowed. But there was no saliva and they felt burning and pain in their throats. Brother, John Banksia has a bad temper. I advise you to leave immediately. The young man recovered a little and whispered to Fen Lin. What? John Banksia. Fen Lin exclaimed, then looked into the distance. John Banksia's eyes were cold. Yes, I am John Banksia. Fen Lin remembered what the other party did on the bus and how she was also full of bad words. Haha, it turns out that you are John Banksia. I originally planned to give you some, but now I just have to pee. Fen Lin said lightly. You, Grandpa Sheeta. Beat him to death. John Banksia stopped angrily. I remembered. Sheeta suddenly slapped his forehead and heard this name from John Yu's mouth. Fen Lin is John Banksia's fiancé. Since he has this status, he doesn't dare to act. Young man, you're a man, don't argue with women, let alone that kind of relationship you have, Sheeta said to Fen Lin with a smile. Senior, let me do you a favor. As long as you are here as my bodyguard, I will give John Banksia enough water, Fen Lin said with a smile. It's okay, we are all a family anyway, I agree. Sheeta nodded. Then protect this palace and don't let entry outsiders. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he entered the palace. Everyone, give me some face. Sheeta looked round with an indifferent expression. No one here dares to go against the John family. The two of them John of China are important families. They are the John family and the John family respectively. John Banksia's John family is called the Zhang, and John Yi's John family is called Zhang. Offend no one present, let alone this great Zhang. John Banksia hesitated for a moment and then followed Fen Lin into the palace. When he arrived at the palace, he found Fen Lin in front of the corner, wondering what he was doing. He was about to ask when he suddenly heard the sound of the door opening to release water. Then, Fen Lin turned around with half a bottle of light yellow liquid and muttered, I seem to be a little angered lately. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 373 Urine is Precious. John Banksia looked at the bottle and his eyes almost popped out. What the hell? And Fen Lin, you and your grandmother, even if I die of thirst, I won't drink from you. We drink it whether you like it or not, Fen Lin said lightly. I'm going to kill you. John Banksia looked at Fen Lin angrily. Okay, I'll give you a multiple choice question. As Fen Lin spoke, he took out a bottle of water from his backpack, raised his head and put it into his mouth, but did not swallow it. He then pointed to his mouth and then to the water that is released when he opens the door. The meaning is obvious, let John Banksia choose. John Banksia's face turned red. Fen Lin, a bastard, didn't even give himself a chance to choose. Fen Lin looked at John Banksia calmly, definitely wanting to teach him a lesson. Last time on WeChat, he was blocked if he couldn't scold him. He hated this kind of people the most. Fen Lin found that the other party did not respond, so he swallowed it. Forget it, if you don't want to drink, you can leave. John Banksia covered her throat. She felt like she was dying of thirst. Almost everyone has experienced the feeling of thirst. But when most people are thirsty, they stay in a cool place. It's different here. Although I'm thirsty, the temperature is still like a steam. Fen Lin, don't force me. John Banksia clenched his fists tightly, lowered his head and said in a deep voice. Should I clean it up? Are you so crazy? I'm forcing you, what's wrong? Fen Lin pursed his lips. He was about to die, but he still dared to threaten himself. If you dare to force me again, I will marry you and be my wife. I am so annoyed at you. John Banksia raised his head, his eyes narrowed, and a fierce look inside. Fen Lin said in a deep voice. You are so cruel. Don't you have a wife? I married her and beat her all day long, John Banksia continued. Apologize well and I'll give you some water. Fen Lin had no intention of letting her drink the water from his mouth. I'm sorry, I shouldn't scold you, I was wrong. John Banksia bowed deeply to Fen Lin. An apology meant nothing to her, it was just a few words. Scold him later. Here you are. Fen Lin threw the mineral water to John Banksia. Our marriage is already over. You walk on your Yanwen Street, and I walk on my single plank bridge. John Banksia ignored Fen Lin and couldn't wait to take a sip, feeling like a newborn baby. In fact, the fruit is the source of life. After taking a few sips, he walked out immediately, preparing to let Shishi take a few sips as well. Fen Lin squeezed the half bottle of urine and put it into his hiking bag, thinking that it was still useful. Fen Lin, is there still water? Let Mr. Zhang drink some too. Watching John Banksia leave, Lian Dai walked in and said, I don't have much water here, unless you give me a treasure and exchange it for a treasure. Fen Lin stretched out his hand. I didn't find the treasure. Lian Dai puffed his lips slightly, walked over and hugged Fen Lin's arm. Please, brother Fen Lin. I want to know the secret of your Jia land. Fen Lin looked at Lian Dai seriously. The dish captured by General Fen Lin last time was handed over to the secret agency. Later, Fen Lin asked Lanny what information he had obtained, but Lanny said that the superiors were keeping it a secret. He doesn't know either. We have no secrets. Lian Dai stood in front of Fen Lin, shaking his head constantly, and his twin pigtails whipped round Fen Lin's body. Fen Lin pushed Lian Dai and said calmly, I heard that the people who founded Jia land at the beginning don't seem to age. Knowing that Zhu Ruang is a descendant of Tufu, Fen Lin is now very interested in immortality. Could it be that the founder of Jia land is also a descendant of Tufu? I don't know, don't ask, the god of the 9 netherworlds will punish me. Lian Dai had some fear in his eyes. Forget it. Fen Lin shook his head slightly, he knew they couldn't push too hard. From the look in Lian Dai's eyes, it was obvious that there was some story behind this. He took out another bottle of water and left the palace. He didn't want to waste time here. The main goal this time is the baby. Brothers, I have a good heart, so I decided to take out a bottle to moisten your throats. Fen Lin picked up the mineral water and said with a smile. But the rules can't be broken. You must give me something extra. Thanks, brother. This dagger of mine is the treasure of our sect, and I will give it to you today. Brother, is my underwear considered personal belongings? It certainly does not count, otherwise I would have given you my underwear. All the people around them had weapons, and most of them left them behind. Fen Lin lifted the mineral water and put a small sip for each of them. More than a dozen people finished the bottle of mineral water, including the evil spirit of the 7th earth. Lian Dai kept looking at Fen Lin from a distance. This man was different. He seemed to really consider him a friend. At this moment, another group of people appeared in the distance. They were Long Tinao, Dai and Qi and others. Their faces are now purple due to lack of water and their lips are cracked and bleeding. Long Tinao noticed Fen Lin here and immediately ran over and shouted, Give me water. Water. The old man next to him also increased his speed and attacked Fen Lin. Who dares to touch him? Shida took a step forward and stood in front of Fen Lin. A terrifying wave of air swept across the surrounding forest. Seeing this, everyone on Long Tinao's side stopped. Stone is not someone to be trifled with. Senior, my Long family has no complaints against your Zhang family. I just want some water and please help me, Senior. Long Tinao bowed his hands respectfully. I drank Fen Lin's water just now and agreed to be his bodyguard. If anything happens, talk to Fen Lin. I only listened to Fen Lin's words. Shida stood with his hands behind his hands and said calmly. When Long Tinao and others heard this, they were secretly shocked. It seemed like they couldn't use force when facing Fen Lin. Fen Lin, as long as you give me water, when you go out, follow me to Long's house and you can choose the baby you prefer. Long Tinao said to Fen Lin. Young Master Long, let me tell you the truth. This time I winning, I didn't bring much water. I mainly packed a big bag of food. Fen Lin had a serious expression on his face, then it was too hot, so I brought the food. Throw it away, leaving only the mineral water. As he spoke, Fen Lin opened the hiking bag behind his back and put out the contents. 2 empty bottles, a bottle of mineral water and half a bottle of urine. Now I only have 1 bottle of water left. This is what my elders and I use. After all, I have to rely on my elders to protect me. Fen Lin put the mineral water into his hiking bag. As for this urine, I originally planned to keep it for myself, but if Mr. Long is very thirsty, I will give it to you. You, Long Yang was so arrogant that he couldn't speak. What kind of person was he? He actually wants to drink this kind of stuff, and people won't laugh out loud if word gets out about it. Of course, Mr. Long can drink water if he really wants to. You have to exchange it for a treasure. A treasure can only be exchanged for a sip of water. Fen Lin played hunger marketing. After all, in these people's eyes there was only 1 bottle of water left. They haven't come out yet and no one knows how long they will be trapped. Water is really important. Fen Lin paused for a while. More than 10 seconds, and suddenly picked up the urine bottle. Master Long, I regret it. Now I'm not giving you this urine for free. You can exchange it with your treasure. What do you mean? Long Tinao said in a deep voice. I think the water is not enough, and Fen Lin touched the head of Lian Dai next to him. This urine is actually my little cuties. Long Tinao's eyes froze and he quickly said, I want this urine. Chapter 374 I can still be cute. What the hell? Lian Dai's little face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. How shameless. She was about to retort, but Fen Lin looked at her and swallowed her words. Now he still had to rely on Fen Lin's water, so he could only lower his head angrily, scolding Fen Lin thousands of times in his heart. Not only Long Tinao, but also that dozen youths that Fen Lin saved just now, their eyes suddenly lit up. If it were Fen Lin, it would be psychologically difficult for him. But it's Lian Dai, this little cutie, that's another story. Fen Lin made it very clear just now that the last remaining bottle of water belonged to him, Zhang Banxia, and others. Naturally, they have no participation. Therefore, this urine is something strange. Brother Fen Lin, I want to urinate. Wait for me to come out. Choose from the treasures of our sect. Brother, give it to me. I have a sister who was not married yet. When we go out, you can let them meet. Shut up. This is mine. Long Tinao shouted at several people. He took out a blue stone from his body with a ray of light. This is a stone I picked up nearby. It must be a treasure. How about you exchange it for urine in your hand? Long Tinao asked. This stone was only the size of a table tennis ball. He snatched it from a man. I asked the experts around me and they didn't know what it was. It shouldn't be expensive. This Fen Lin thought for a moment and nodded. Okay. In the end, the two handed over money with one hand and got angry with the other. Fen Lin took the blue stone, looked at it carefully, and found that it was almost the same as an ordinary stone. He put it in his pocket. Long Tinao took the water, immediately unscrewed the bottle cap and put it on his face. Okay. So pee. As expected of the girl. While speaking, Long Tinao did not forget to look at Lian Dai. Lian Dai felt a chill and goosebumps appeared all over his body. Zhang Banxi also had a displeased expression on his face, but he knew that it was obviously from Fen Lin. And he also said that he's been a little angry lately. Come on, have some too, Long Tinao said to the people behind him. Fen Lin was too embarrassed to stay here, blinked at Zhang Banxi and Lian Dai, then turned and left. The two of them and the teachers around them followed. Several people arrived at a desert land. Fen Lin said to several people, wait for me. As he spoke, Fen Lin jumped onto the branch and disappeared in the blink of an eye. She is a master and Fen Lin can't prove that he has a space ring in front of him. It's better to play it safe. In the distance, Fen Lin took out 5 bottles of mineral water from the space ring, put them into his hiking bag, and returned the same way. Seeing Fen Lin appear, Lian Dai asked strangely, what did you do? You didn't urinate again, did you? Yeah, I peed a few more bottles and it's not your fault. Fen Lin opened the hiking bag, took out a few bottles of mineral water. The previous urine was originally meant to be reserved for Zhangdi, but that man dared to kill someone. But Long Tinao took the initiative. He plans to save another bottle. This, Fen Lin, it turns out that you hid the water in advance. John Banksia stared at the mineral water, which had not yet been opened. He couldn't help but think of Long Tea now and couldn't help but laugh. This is the only one I have in stock. Fen Lin took out 2 bottles and gave them to John Banksia and Sheeta respectively. Seeing this, Li and I couldn't help swallowing, hugged Fen Lin's arm and said, "Brother Fen Lin, bring me a bottle." "No, you haven't played any role until now. I'll give you your water." "What is the problem?" "Wear it," Fen Lin said expressionlessly. "I can also act cute for you and liven up your atmosphere." Li and I smiled and winked at him. "Go away. You owe me a lot." Fen Lin took out 2 more bottles, handed them to Li and I and said, "I still have companions. If you want to find them, you can do whatever you want." He left here. Fen Lin's figure was flying through the forest and he needed to find Yan Yuebai first. Suddenly, Fen Lin noticed a familiar smell in the distance, and ran over there. "I found Jinguji Apkadui running over here covered in blood." "Boss." Jinguji Apkadui saw Fen Lin and ran over immediately. Fen Lin hugged Jinguji Apkadui and asked in a low voice, "Who is it?" "It's Johnny. He took the water out of my backpack. Now there are many people there and they are threatening others with water. Ask them to hand over the treasure to you." Jinguji wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said viciously, "You should have fought with the old man who penetrated realm, right?" Fen Lin checked Jinguji Apkadui's body and found that he was seriously injured. Johnny alone is far from being able to do this. "Yes, but I haven't taken the pill the boss gave me yet. To save lives." Jinguji Apkadui took out a pill from his body. "Silly girl, I still have this kind of thing. Whenever I encounter danger in the future, I will not save him." Fen Lin stopped the bleeding and healed Jinguji Apkadui's wounds. After more than 10 minutes of treatment, he helped Jinguji Apkadui up. "You go back to the hotel first. Go to rest and I will avenge you." Fen Lin smiled and touched Jinguji Apkadui's head. "Okay." Jinguji Apkadui nodded. He also knew that this body would only drag Fen Lin down. He turned on his phone, looked at the coordinates, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right, and disappeared from Fen Lin's sight in the blink of an eye. Johnny, Fen Lin's eyes narrowed into a thin line and he rushed towards the direction pointed by Jinguji Apkadui. The interior of a palace. Johnny looked at the people in front of him with a smile, picked up the mineral water, and took a big sip. "Haha. Everyone, do you want a drink?" John suddenly liked this place and got not only water, but also a lot of treasures. He pointed to a delicate woman with a smile. "It's your turn. Come with me to the inner floor of the palace and take off all your clothes. I want to check if you have a baby." After saying that, he shook his head helplessly. After entering, Yan Yuebai separated from him. "If she is by your side, you will be able to enjoy the feeling of an emperor." As he spoke, 2 breaths came from distance. Johnny turned around, his eyes shocked, and said that Cao had arrived. It was Yan Yuebai. He couldn't help but laugh. "Why is my luck so good lately?" After they walked in, they saw Johnny holding mineral water in his hand. He touched his chapped lips, walked over and said, "Johnny, give me some water. Look, there are 4 bodyguards around me." Johnny said this, he paused. "Unless you prove that you are mine, I will give you water." "Haha, I thought you were pretty good before, but you turned out to be a bastard who takes advantage." "No way, water is really important. Your life is life, but I, the master of the John family, am I not my life?" John pointed to his face and said, "It's too hot now, so I won. Don't do anything extra. Move, kiss me and I'll give you a sip of water." "You're dreaming." Yan Yuebai had just finished speaking. A black shadow flashed. Brush. The mineral water in Johnny's hand split and all the water was scattered. Spilled. Chapter 375. The discovery of Sukam Jin. The person who came was none other than Fen Lin, but he was now dressed in black clothes with a white shirt covering his head. He found these clothes on corpses along the road. As for his clothes and hiking bag, they have been packed into the space ring. This kind of thing is really convenient. Brush. The dagger in Fen Lin's hand pierced Johnny's shoulder, and he said in low English, "Give me the water or I will kill him." Blood spurted out of Johnny's arm and he gritted his teeth. Unexpectedly, he met a teacher. "How dare you act against yourself in front of someone who has penetrated the realm?" "Foreign." The hook-nosed man next to him had his eyes wide open. It is none other than Johnny's strongest bodyguard, Mr. Wang. He has now reached the peak of the midterm realm. Yan Yuebai next to him was happy when he saw this figure and voice. It was the boss who came to help. He said to let you hand over the water, otherwise John will be killed. Yan Yuebai looked at Mr. Wang next to him and said. In Mr. Wang's hand was Jinguji Apkadui's guitar case. You know, besides the water, there were also treasures that had been stolen. His expression was gloomy and he did not expect to encounter such a situation. Don't give it. Then he would have no choice but to die. Fen Lin dropped the dagger on Johnny's neck and slashed it without hesitation. Stop. Feeling the throbbing pain in his neck, John panicked. He said to Mr. Wang, "Give him water." "Okay, wait a minute." Mr. Wang opened the guitar bag and took out the elixir inside. Bottles, tattered books and all kinds of things were taken out. Fen Lin's eyes lit up when he saw this. They had obtained so many good things. "Put everything in, I want them all," Fen Lin said softly, and the dagger sank deeper. Yan Yubai translated Fen Lin's words. Mr. Wang's face was pale, but the young master's life was important, so he could only do it. He put these things back, closed them, and threw them to Fen Lin. "I hope you are mortal," Mr. Wang said coldly, "otherwise, I will kill you even if I chase you to the ends of the earth." Yan Yubai continued to act as a translator. Fen Lin carried his guitar bag behind him and dragged Johnny's body back little by little. "I will be waiting for you at your 3 o'clock address." Fen Lin used the indigenous African language, which Liu Yunyan originally asked the members of Dead Knight to learn. In critical moments, you can use this language to communicate and most people have no idea what you are talking about. When Yan Yubai heard this, he nodded secretly and said, "This person told us not to move." Fen Lin retreated 10 meters away, hit Johnny hard on the back, and threw a dagger. His figure disappeared here in the blink of an eye. "Oh!" Mr. Wang ran over and smashed the dagger into pieces. Johnny covered his neck, furious, and roared, "Damn it! Damn it! Fourth grandfather, let's go, there's no water here anyway." Yan Yubai looked at the greasy old man behind him. Johnny looked at Yan Yubai. He was very close. If Yan Yubai came here before, I could have eaten it. I didn't expect to have done so much and end up becoming someone else's wedding dress. Yan Yubai immediately ran in the direction Fen Lin said. "Miss, where are we going?" The old man behind asked in a deep voice. "Just follow me," Yan Yubai said with a smile. Not long after they left, the old man behind him immediately stood in front of Yan Yubai and saw someone in front of him. Fen Lin had already changed his clothes and was carrying a hiking bag. Fen Lin stuffed Jinguji Apkadu his guitar bag into the space ring. Even if those people were suspicious of him, they wouldn't be able to find any evidence. "Boss." Yan Yubai ran over with a smile and hugged Fen Lin. "Okay, you must be thirsty, right? Drink to keep yourself satisfied." Fen Lin smiled and took out 2 bottles of mineral water, first handing one to Yan Yubai, and then handing the other bottle to the old man behind her. "Thank you." The old man simply caught it without opening it, as if he was going to save it for Yan Yubai to use later. "Boss, if you don't come, I feel like I'm going to faint." Yan Yubai opened a bottle and drank half of it. "Don't worry, there are many." Fen Lin took out 2 more bottles and put them into Yan Yubai's trouser pockets. "Fourth grandfather, you drink too. This is my boss. He promises to take us flying." Yan Yubai looked at Fen Lin with a smile and introduced. "This is my fourth grandfather, Yan Laosi." "Hello, senior." Fen Lin smiled and clasped his hands. "If I guess correctly, you're the legendary Doctor of Death, right?" As a core member of the Ant family, Yan Laosi naturally knows that the organization Yan Yubai belongs to is Death Knight. With her character, she always calls herself the boss at home and no one convinces her. But this man was willing to call him boss. The senior is too praised. According to legends, he is simply an ordinary person. Fen Lin smiled and stretched out his hand. "Take out the mobile phone." "What do you need the mobile phone for?" "I tried everything now. But I can't make calls and the compass doesn't work either." Although Yan Yubai was puzzled, he took out the phone and handed it to Fen Lin. In fact, there is no signal, but the super Bluetooth device of our mobile phone can be used. Fen Lin turned on Bluetooth, entered the signal band and successfully connected to the coordinates outside the formation. He handed the phone to Yan Yubai. "This coordinate leads outside. You just need to follow that coordinates and you can go." "What?" Yan Yubai's eyes widened in shock. Yan Laosi was also surprised, smiled and said, "Miss, if we are sure we can get out, now that we have water, let's look for the treasure." "All right." "Boss, will you come with us?" Yan Yubai asked. "No, I have to go find fourth brother and give you 2 more bottles." Fen Lin took out 2 more bottles of mineral water, put them in Yan Yubai's hands and disappeared. "It's awful. At first I thought that Dr. Death was at least 40 years old, but I didn't expect him to be so young." Yan Laosi sighed. "At this age, he has so much power. No one dares to judge what achievements will be achieved in the future." When Fen Lin was looking for his 4th son, he found his cell phone ringing. He immediately took it out, which was the digital code on Bluetooth. I found a good place. Now I'm going to set fire to the mountain. See if you can find the smoke. This is the coded message above. The fourth son is quite smart, Lin murmured. He never thought that he could still contact him this way. He immediately replied, "Copy it, we can start now." After that, Lin came to the top of a big tree and observed his surroundings. Sure enough, he saw smoke in the distance, but it disappeared after the smoke rose. He immediately sent a message to Sakam Jin. "I saw it, don't let go, be careful to take others there." "Roger, there is a palace here, there is a hole above the palace, I am in it." Lin saw the news, he was a little surprised. What did it mean that there was a hole in it? It took him 10 minutes to get closer and see a huge stone palace in front of him. After entering, he found a hole wrapped in vines. Above the palace, like the mouth of a well, you can still see the trees outside. He hesitated for a moment and jumped straight out. In an instant, everything in front of Lin changed. End of this chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is completely available on Patreon. I invite you to subscribe and enjoy all the content.